Phoenix Nights. Chapter 460. For Big Brother White Sands bet, I have to give it my all. Although Dingbo Shuang was training his secret art, he was also trying to kill the black-scaled mutated beasts as fast as he could. Whenever one appeared, he would kill it immediately. These mutated beasts are getting stronger and stronger. My other secret arts are no longer effective against them. I have to use Star Meteor Annihilation. Even his extreme piercing secret art, Star Cluster, was barely able to pierce a hole. His chaotic suppression could only cause them to vomit blood. However, these injuries were too light. It would probably take him 2 to 3 breaths of time to kill a mutated beast with his mirage body. Too slow. He had to rely on Star Meteor Annihilation. Dongbo Shuang used his spear techniques and Star Meteor Annihilation to barely maintain his efficiency. Could it be that I can't enter the top 20? Zhang Hao's ugly face was filled with unwillingness. His figure was like a ghost as he circled around the black-scaled mutated beast. 2 demonic blood-colored saber lights slashed at its body, barely leaving a small wound. However, these small wounds were instantly healed. No matter how he attacked, he could no longer kill another mutated beast. Every breath of time, another mutated beast would appear. Currently, there were a total of 3 mutated beasts surrounding him. Zhang Xiao was having a hard time dealing with them. Master, there are still 26 of them inside. Zhang Xiao received a message from his servant. However, he was unwilling to give up. During the ranking battle, he was ranked 27th, which made him very proud. Thus, he was even more desperate this time. 4 mutated beasts. 5 mutated beasts. All of them had come to surround him. Zhang Xiao was like a stray dog that had lost its master. He desperately tried to escape. However, these mutated beasts were all proficient in different laws of profound mysteries. They could travel through the void and even use hallucinatory techniques to surround him. Master, there are still 25 left. I admit defeat. Zhang Xiao finally gave up resisting. South. His entire body was expelled from the spherical cage. In midair, a wound could be seen on his chest. The wound had already healed. He raised his head and looked at the floating spherical cages around him. This time, I've already risked my life, but I'm only ranked 25th. There are indeed many experts within the Kamsi Prefecture, and even though I'm an inner disciple of a powerful existence, I'm nothing much. I'm not even in the top 10. He descended. Countless spectators were extremely excited at this moment, and they were all discussing spiritedly. Because the further they went, the more exciting it would be. Those at the very front were all fighting with their lives on the line. 20, the emissary said calmly. 10. The Bloodshed God Palace's emissary's voice was clearly much louder, and it reverberated throughout the world like a clap of thunder. 9. 8. At this moment, 7th Meiyu was in a frenzied state. Inside the cage, the petals fluttered and floated around the entire spherical cage. When they came into contact with the black-scaled exotic beasts, they exploded with a powerful force. As for the white-robed 7th Meiyu, his swordsmanship was incomparably elegant. His figure was so fast that he left behind a series of afterimages. Each of these afterimages circled around a mutated beast, and the sword light landed on the mutated beast again and again. As the power of the sword light increased, its power grew stronger and stronger. It was unknown how many swords had fallen into the countless sword lights. It was as if the mutated beast had been trapped in a trap, unable to break free no matter how hard it struggled. Finally, the body of the mutated beast was sliced apart and dissipated. However, the number of mutated beasts around him had already increased to 3, and in just a breath's time, there were 4. Looks like I can't hold on any longer. 7th Meiyu used her movement technique to avoid the other mutated beasts and focus on one. However, as the number of mutated beasts increased, it became more and more difficult for him to fight. He was even forced to defend himself and was unable to kill any more mutated beasts. Very quickly, 5 mutated beasts surrounded 7th Meiyu, each of them extremely powerful. I admit defeat. 7th Meiyu finally admitted defeat. When he admitted defeat, he was ranked 7th in this survival battle. Her Highness Meiyu's movement technique is extremely powerful, giving her an advantage in this survival battle. Her sword technique is a perfect set of secret techniques. She is also proficient in both escaping and defending. The Ink Cloud City Lord raised his head to look at 7th Meiyu, who had already been expelled from the cage, as well as the 6 other ball-shaped cages that were still fighting. To be ranked 7th, that's not bad. Her Highness Meiyu tends to be more balanced, and her killing moves are slightly weaker. The emissary of the Bloodshed God Palace commented with a smile. Old Brother White Sand, the situation is becoming more and more obvious. I'm afraid that you're going to lose miserably in this gamble, King Ronghai teased. Old Brother White Sand, if you don't have enough treasures, I can postpone the 15 million deity crystals you lost to me. Shut your mouth. The White Sand City Lord nervously stroked his beard as he stared at the 3 strongest ball-shaped cages that were still fighting. It's not the end yet. Don't be too happy. Even an idiot can see that Dongbua is about to die. The yellow-robed venomous-ing world deity sneered. Big Brother White Sand, you've lost a total of 100 million deity crystals with the few of us added together. Marshal Qin looked up and nodded lightly. Dongbua should be 3rd, Drunk Guest 2nd, and Jiushi 1st. This could be seen from the battle scene. Currently, there were 6 people still fighting, and the other 3 were already in a difficult situation and could give up at any moment. Dongbua, Drunk Guest, and Jiushi could still hold on for a while longer. However, Dongbua's situation was the most dangerous. He was currently relying on his mirage body to block the attacks, fleeing and fighting at the same time. In reality, it was very difficult for even his Star Meteor Annihilation to kill a single mutated beast. At most, it could injure them. Drunk Guest was dressed in azure robes and wielding a sword with a single hand. His figure seemed to tear apart the world as he walked, and every single one of his sword strikes seemed capable of splitting the world apart. But now, every single one of the strange beasts was very powerful. Even Drunk Guest would need 2 breaths of time to kill a strange beast. Very soon, the number of mutated beasts in the cages had reached 2. It was destined that there would be even more. But at the very least, he could still kill more mutated beasts. Jiushi was still the most relaxed one. He was dressed in white robes and had white hair. His white eyebrows fluttered in the wind, and his eyes were cold and sharp. His silhouettes were scattered throughout the cage, and countless silhouettes were waving their hands at the same time. Besieging one mutated beast, the current black-scaled mutated beast was already very powerful. The black-scaled mutated beast roared and attacked Jiushi. However, the countless silhouettes of Jiushi were easily destroyed even if they were attacked. Then, the silhouettes of Jiushi would appear in another area. The number of silhouettes of Jiushi was forever innumerable. They would always wave their palms and hack at the same time. The besieged area would be directly destroyed, but the black-scaled mutated beast would only be injured. Normally, it would take multiple simultaneous attacks before a black-scaled mutated beast would finally dissipate. However, at the very least, he could still kill one mutated beast in a single breath of time. Therefore, there would always be only one black-scaled mutated beast in the cage. Jiushi should be able to hold on for a while longer. He is the most relaxed compared to the others. The speed at which Drunk Guest kills the mutated beasts can no longer keep up with the rate at which the mutated beasts are born. It won't be long before he loses. Dongbo can no longer kill the black-scaled mutated beasts, and there are already 2 mutated beasts in his cage. He will most likely be the first to fall. The Ink Cloud City Lord evaluated. The yellow-robed venomous-ing world deity was even more pleased. Big Brother White Sand, you will definitely lose. He won't be able to turn the tables. It doesn't matter how strong Dongbo's defenses are. The moment he is captured alive by the mutated beasts, he will be thrown out of the cage. They all watched on. The White Sand City Lord watched on silently. He stared upward, hoping for a miracle to happen. However, deep in his heart, he felt regret. Who asked you to be so insolent? Who asked you to be so hot-headed? You thought that you would do it again after earning so much last time? In the end, Brother Dongbo has only cultivated for around 2,000 years. His cultivation time is too short, and he is at a disadvantage in this aspect. Hurry up and watch. Monarch Mo Shui laughed as he spoke to the Kamsi prefecture master beside him. Look at the expression of that rat. If he loses 100 million deity crystals, his heart will ache. The Kamsi prefecture master shook his head with a smile. His losses are truly disastrous. Within Dongbo Shui Ying's spherical cage, at this moment, there were already 2 black-scaled mutated beasts. 2 starry blue-robed Dongbo Shui Ying were fleeing while simultaneously attacking a black-scaled mutated beast. His star meteor annihilation was barely able to pierce a bloody hole through the mutated beast's scales before being blocked by its muscles. Such an injury was not enough to claim the life of a mutated beast. I can't allow the number of mutated beasts to increase. Dongbo Shui Ying glanced outside. Through the walls of the cage, he could see that there were 2 other spherical cages where Drunk Guest and Jiao Shi were still fighting. I have to give it my all, Dongbo Shui Ying thought. Suddenly, 4 starry blue-robed youths appeared out of thin air on the vast dark land of the cage. That's right, 4! These 4 starry blue-robed youths each wielded a spear and were frantically attacking a black-scaled mutated beast. Pooh! 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 All 4 of them used their star meteor annihilation, causing the surrounding dark stars to expand and collapse into a single point. Bloody holes appeared on the black-scaled mutated beast's body, causing it to howl in pain. However, after the 4 Dongbo Shui Yings unleashed tens of spear strikes, the scales on the black-scaled mutated beast's back had long since been completely torn apart, revealing its bones. The 4 Dongbo Shui Yings all used their chaotic suppression, furiously hacking downwards. Without the protection of the black scales, the black-scaled mutated beast's body exploded. Their strongest attacks landed on the bones on the black-scaled mutated beast's back, causing its body to explode. How powerful were the 4 Dongbo Shui Ying's attacks? I really don't want to use this secret technique, Dongbo Shui Ying muttered to himself. Mirage secret technique, condensing reality. Back at Crimson Rock Mountain, Dongbo Shui Ying had created this technique when he was only at the stage 3 realm of the true meaning of mirage. After becoming a world deity, after comprehending the grade 1 deity heart, the world deity heart, Dongbo Shui Ying had comprehended several secret techniques of the world deity heart, including the world true body secret technique. With a single thought, he could form 8 world true bodies at the same time. If he did not use the complete profound mysteries of the world deity heart, and mainly relied on the profound mysteries of mirage, even if he was a world deity with the world deity heart, Dongbo Shui Ying could only perfect the condensing reality to the point of forming 3 mirage bodies. First becoming a world deity, and then focusing on the condensing reality would only allow him to form 3 bodies. If he wanted more, then he would have to use the complete profound mysteries of the world deity heart. Thus, Dongbo Shui Ying felt that this was bullying. After all, the combined might of 4 was more than double that of 2. Mirage secret technique? This brat? On the high platform, even the Kamsi prefecture master and monarch Mo Shui jumped in fright. The White Sand City Lord, Ink Cloud City Lord, Venomous Ing World Deity, King Ronghai, Marshal Qin, and the emissary were all shocked as well. 4 bodies? Every single one of them could display the same combat power as the true body? The Mirage secret technique can be displayed to such an extent? The Kamsi prefecture master was incomparably shocked. Truly, truly formidable. The world true body secret technique created by a world deity with the world deity heart should at most be able to form 9 world true bodies. By relying on the Mirage secret technique, he can form a total of 3 Mirage bodies. His attainments in the Mirage have already reached an astonishing level. His attainments in the Mirage deity heart are even higher than his star deity heart. Monarch Mo Shui sighed in admiration. His star deity heart will most likely need a period of time to evolve into the chaotic deity heart. But the Mirage deity heart will most likely evolve into the world deity heart at any moment. Amen. The Kamsi prefecture master nodded. We've misjudged him. So his strongest aspect is the Mirage deity heart. My head is a little tired, so I'll only take one night today. Star. Chapter 461. Within the spherical cages high up in the sky, only 3 were still battling. They were none other than Donghua, Drunk Guest, and Jiushi. Previously, Donghua Shuang was already having a hard time and was about to lose. However, suddenly, 4 Donghua Shuang appeared within the spherical cages. The 4 Donghua Shuang worked together to unleash the star meteor annihilation, causing the black-scaled mutated beast to howl in agony. At the same time, they unleashed the chaotic suppression, causing the mutated beast's body to dissipate. With the 4 of them working together, the mutated beast had no way of escaping. In the blink of an eye, the cage was emptied. Wow! Donghua is too formidable. His combat power has increased by so much. The mutated beasts have all been killed. The various lifeforms who had rushed over to spectate the battle were all astonished by what they saw. From their point of view, the mutated beast's combat power could easily kill a large group of peak-stage deities, yet Shuang was still able to forcibly kill them. I heard that this Donghua has only cultivated for 2,000 years or so. How is he so powerful? My clan's ancestor brought a report. According to the report, this Donghua has only cultivated for 2,300 years or so. With such a short period of cultivation, his attainments in both the Mirage and Star Deity Hearts are so high. In my opinion, he might even be able to grasp a Grade 1 Deity Heart within 10,000 years. Grasping a Grade 1 Deity Heart within 10,000 years? Doesn't that mean he has become a personal disciple of a powerful existence? That's hard to say. To be able to reach such a realm after cultivating for 2,000 years, he might be stuck here for tens of thousands of years. Even if he can't break through with the Star Deity Heart, he should be able to break through with the Mirage Deity Heart, right? In my opinion, this Donghua has a high chance of grasping a Grade 1 Deity Heart within 10,000 years. Countless spectators were discussing amongst themselves. A Grade 1 true meaning transcendent? That was a legend. Who knew how many billions of years it would take for one to appear? The moment one appeared, all powerful existences would fight to take him in as a disciple. Some powerful existences would even disregard their reputation and think of ways to get rid of him as soon as possible. The second best would be to grasp a Grade 1 Deity Heart within 10,000 years. Compared to Grade 1 true meaning transcendence, there were slightly more of them, and powerful existences would not be so shameless as to act so viciously against them. Under normal circumstances, they would be able to cultivate to the Stage 3 World Deity realm, with a few even becoming Stage 4 World Deities. With this kind of potential, he could easily become a personal disciple of an almighty being. He was worthy of being nurtured by an almighty being. He's actually this powerful? The silver-robed General Ying, who was surrounded and protected by a group of soldiers, had an increasingly ugly expression on his face, and a crazed look could be seen in his eyes. Why? Why is it that he has only cultivated for 2,000 years, yet his Star Deity Heart and Mirage Deity Heart have reached such heights? What about me? Why can't I make any progress? General Ying raised his head. His vision began to distort, and his true deity heart began to tremble. Why? I can't accept this. I can't accept it. Destroy him. Destroy him. General Ying's eyes began to glow with a bloody light, and his body began to tremble. The expression of the gray-robed elder behind him changed when he saw this. He immediately reached out and grabbed General Ying, using his surging world deity energy to seal the deity energy within General Ying's body. General Ying was unable to resist, and he could not help but stare at the gray-robed elder with a savage expression. Are you courting death? General Ying has gone mad again. Bring him back. The gray-robed elder ordered the surrounding soldiers. General Ying's true deity heart was getting closer and closer to collapsing, so his aunt, the venomous Ying world deity, had long since ordered that the moment General Ying went mad, he was to be captured and brought back so as not to embarrass her in the Calm Sea Prefecture city. Hua! The group of soldiers quickly retreated with General Ying in tow. However, among the countless spectators, General Ying's group was just a drop in the ocean. In another location, the deities of the Xia people, as well as Jing Qiu, were all watching with incomparable excitement and joy. Dongbua is truly formidable. He has cultivated for such a short period of time, yet he has already surpassed all the other deities. Amazing. He truly deserves to be the strongest deity in the history of our Xia people. The Purple Thunder Emperor, Yunhai, and the others were all incomparably proud and excited. Jing Qiu, on the other hand, had a faint smile on her face as she watched. Her eyes, however, were shining brightly. As a wife, she was naturally very happy to see her husband like this. On the high platform. Ha! The White Sand City Lord was laughing in an exceptionally carefree manner. He stroked his beard and glanced at the ugly expression on the venomous world deity's face, then at the other deities. Everyone, it's too early for you to celebrate. You all thought that Jiushi was hiding his strength. Did Dongbua not hide his strength? Ha ha, how about it? Are you convinced of your loss? Don't be anxious. It's not the end yet. The Ink Cloud City Lord raised his head. Brother White Sand, aren't you celebrating a little too early? Marshal Qin also raised her head. That's right. The three of them haven't given up yet. Who knows who will be first or second? The yellow-robed venomous world deity sneered. Everyone present could see it clearly. Currently, within the spherical cage, Dongbua Shuang held the greatest advantage. After all, the difference in strength between the three of them was not that big. Dongbua Shui Ying's mirage secret skill, condensing reality, had more than doubled his strength. From the speed at which he killed the mutated beasts, it could be seen that Dongbua was going to be ranked first. Not good! King Ronghai suddenly shouted. I admit defeat! Within the three spherical cages that were still fighting in the sky, Drunk Guest suddenly opened his mouth. Who? He was expelled out of the cage. Standing there, he sheathed his deity sword and looked at the other two cages that were still fighting. He lightly shook his head. I've already displayed my strength to the limit. If I want to improve further, I'll have to grasp a grade 1 deity heart. Losing to the two of them is something I'm convinced of. He then flew downwards. Haha, venomous Ing. The White Sand City Lord immediately turned to the yellow-robed venomous world deity. It's hard to say who will be first and second, but the third place has already been decided. It's Drunk Guest. It's a pity that you bet on Dongbua being third, right? The yellow-robed venomous world deity had an ugly expression on her face. She sneered and did not say anything else. Even if her skin was thicker, losing 10 million deity crystals had left her feeling sullen and speechless. Jioshi's killing the mutated beasts is getting slower and slower. The Ink Cloud City Lord and the others were all frowning. Could it be that you, White Sand, are still going to kill them all? Marshal Qin felt helpless. The White Sand City Lord stroked his beard in a pleased manner. In his heart, however, he was muttering to himself, this little brother of mine is truly formidable. Previously, I only set up this bet because I wanted to vent my anger. Who would have thought that Dongbua was actually hiding his true strength during the ranking battle? The Mirage Deity Heart, his Mirage secret skill, is actually able to produce 3 Mirage bodies. This little brother of mine is truly formidable. He might even become a world deity within 10,000 years. At the highest point of the high platform, the Calm Sea Prefecture Master and Monarch Mo Shui raised their heads to watch. This Dongbua does indeed have great potential. It's a pity that he has never had a good teacher to guide him. Monarch Mo Shui could not help but comment. Just look at his Star Deity Heart secret skill. There are still some laughable mistakes. His Mirage secret skill can produce 3 bodies, and he has indeed reached a certain pinnacle. However, this is also a waste of his talent. Twice the effort for half the result. What, are you getting impatient? The Calm Sea Prefecture Master laughed. Seeing someone with potential who could clearly grasp a grade 1 deity heart even faster, yet he's still stumbling along the way, it's only natural for me to be impatient. Monarch Mo Shui shook his head. For example, this Mirage secret skill requires the Mirage Deity Heart to evolve into the World Deity Heart. What is the World Deity Heart? The world deity heart specializes in domains. Thus, for the mirage deity heart to evolve into the world deity heart, a bit more effort should be put into the domain aspect. But what about him? He's actually focused on the remote mirage true body. Although he's studied it to the pinnacle, it's clearly a strenuous and unrewarding task. Monarch Mo Shui sighed. Ha ha ha, you can't even get a disciple even if you want to, yet you're still talking so much. The Kamsi Prefecture Master teased. It's true that I can't. Not to mention the fact that my true deity heart is about to collapse. Even if it hadn't, a stage 4 world deity wouldn't be able to snatch such a disciple. Monarch Mo Shui nodded and sighed. This Donghua might have made many laughable mistakes on his path of cultivation, but he still managed to reach such heights. As long as he takes a powerful existence as his master and receives their guidance, he'll be able to quickly walk down the correct path. There's a high chance of him reaching a grade 1 deity heart within 10,000 years. Right. Drunk Guest has the guidance of a powerful existence, so his sword techniques are completely following the path of the splitting heavens deity heart. His breakthroughs are much smoother, the Kamsi Prefecture Master said. From their point of view, the Mirage deity heart needed to evolve into a world deity heart. One should follow the main path and advance along the main path. Donghua Shuang had walked on a small path, the Mirage bodies. He had already reached the pinnacle of this path. He had already created 3 Mirage bodies. However, although he was extremely close to breaking through to the world deity heart, the difficulty was still much higher. Still, with the guidance of a powerful existence, they were certain that he had a high chance of grasping a grade 1 deity heart within 10,000 years. It's almost over. Monarch Mo Shui looked upwards. In your Kamsi Prefecture, Jiushi is first, Donghua is second, and Drunk Guest is third. They're all not bad. You've gained quite a bit of face during the Bloodshed God Palace's Myriad Flower Feast. Star. Chapter 462. Of the 250 ball-shaped cages in the sky, 2 were still fighting. These were the cages where Jiushi and Donghua Shuang were fighting. The white-robed, white-haired, white-brows, and white-robed Jiushi still exuded an extraordinary aura. His countless figures were scattered across every corner of the cage, each of them waving their hands furiously, injuring mutated beasts time and time again. It was already a breath's worth of time before he could barely kill a mutated beast. And then? Jiushi frowned as he looked in a certain direction. There was a ball-shaped cage where Donghua Shuang was currently fighting. This Donghua has cultivated for such a short period of time, yet his attainments in both the Mirage Deity Heart and Star Deity Heart have reached such a high level. Does he not know how to focus on one path? Becoming a world deity first? Jiushi muttered to himself. He probably doesn't have a teacher to guide him, so he has to bury his head in cultivation. I originally thought that using this secret skill would be enough for me to take first place in the survival battle. Who would have thought that this Donghua would be so powerful? It seems like I'll have to reveal my true strength. I originally wanted to do so in front of His Majesty and the powerful existences. However, I still have to take first place in the Kamsi Prefecture survival battle. Otherwise, I won't even be able to take first place. In the future, when I become a disciple of a powerful existence, I will be mocked by my fellow disciples, Jiushi thought. Boom! The countless Jiushi figures scattered across every corner of the cage all waved their palms at the same time. Countless illusory palms rapidly converged to form a huge golden palm. This golden palm occupied nearly half of the ball-shaped cage before abruptly pressing downwards. Pooh! As the golden palm pressed downwards, everything in its path was annihilated. Even the black-scaled mutated beast was directly crushed into nothingness. What? How is this possible? The White Sand City Lord, the emissary of the Bloodshed God Palace, the Venomous World Deity, the Ink Cloud City Lord, Marshal Qin, and King Ronghai, the spectators of the various races, as well as the deities of the Xia people and Jingqiu, all stared at this scene in astonishment. At this point in the survival battle, just how powerful were the mutated beasts that were born? Drunk Guest could no longer kill mutated beasts. Even the four Dongwu Shuang figures had to work together to kill one. But Jiushi could kill it in one move? Boundless deity heart? The White Sand City Lord, the emissary of the Bloodshed God Palace, and the Ink Cloud City Lord exchanged glances. This Jiushi actually mastered the boundless deity heart? Marshal Qin exclaimed. A grade 1 deity heart, boundless deity heart. What a good Jiushi! He has already grasped a grade 1 deity heart, yet he waited until now to use it. Maybe he broke through in the midst of battle? King Ronghai said with a chuckle. Breaking through and grasping a grade 1 deity heart? How could there be such a coincidence? The Ink Cloud City Lord laughed. I'm guessing that this Jiushi has long since grasped the boundless deity heart. It's just that he hasn't been in a hurry to use it. To be able to grasp the boundless deity heart after cultivating for nearly 6 million years, that's already pretty good. Brother White Sand, it looks like this Jiushi is the number 1 and Dongbua is number 2. You won't be able to earn any divine crystals from us. The emissary of the Bloodshed God Palace, Marshal Qin, and the others also laughed. Even though Dongbua Shuang was ranked 2nd and they did not make any losses, they were still very happy. Previously, they had thought that they would lose 10 million divinity crystals. Now, they had recovered their capital. Only the venomous world deity remained silent. Because she was the only one who lost. Fortunately, I made some money from venomous ing. The White Sand City Lord deliberately made things clear. Humph. Venomous world deity sneered. I really didn't expect that one of the experts from my Kamsi prefecture participating this time would have a grade 1 deity heart. The Ink Cloud City Lord exclaimed. According to past experience, the number of people who have grasped a grade 1 deity heart in every myriad flower feast can be counted on one hand. The Bloodshed God Palace has a total of 19 prefectures, yet my Kamsi prefecture has 1. How rare. Yes. With a boundless deity heart, this Jiushi will definitely be ranked in the top 10 of the myriad flower feast. Everyone present nodded. In the past, there had always been a few deities who had grasped a grade 1 deity heart in the myriad flower feast. In the earliest days, there was even a debate. Should anyone with a grade 1 deity heart be banned from participating? However, there were those who rebutted. A deity will break through during the myriad flower feast, greatly increasing their strength. Are they going to be eliminated? That doesn't make sense. There were also those who said, who knows if he broke through during the battle or if he had grasped it long ago? In the end, it was His Majesty who decided. As long as one has cultivated for 11 million years and uses deity energy, even if one grasps a grade 1 deity heart, they can still participate. Because grasping a grade 1 deity heart was extremely difficult. Most deities would cultivate for more than 100 million years before becoming world deities, such as the sorcerer god. His talent was not bad, and he had also cultivated for more than 100 million years. More than 90% of world deities had spent more than 100 million years in the deity realm. Even so, the number of world deities in a starfield could be counted on one's fingers. And to grasp a grade 1 deity heart within 11 million years, let alone the territory of the Bloodshed God Palace, even in the entire deity world, there were only about 10 or 20 such people in every myriad flower feast. In addition, their talent was not bad, and most of them were already under the tutelage of powerful existences. Some even belonged to the Temporal Island or the Myriad God Palace, so they would not participate in the Myriad Flower Feast. After all, as long as they participated in the Bloodshed God Palace battle, they would naturally become a member of the Bloodshed God Palace. If they did not wish to join the Bloodshed God Palace, then they would not participate in the battle. They would not be qualified to enjoy the myriad flower true fruit. Thus, in every myriad flower feast, there were only a few who grasped a grade 1 deity heart. Their eyesight is still somewhat lacking. They only discovered now that Jiushi grasped a boundless deity heart. Monarch Mo Shui looked down at the White Sand City Lord and the other 5, then said to the Kamsi Prefecture Master. The secret skill Jiushi used previously, which allowed him to split himself into countless bodies, might not be eye-catching, but it still contains some of the boundless deity heart's profound mysteries. During the arena battle, when Jiushi split himself into countless bodies and killed his opponent with a single move, Monarch Mo Shui and the Calm Sea Prefecture Master had discovered it. After all, this secret skill contained some of the boundless deity heart's profound mysteries. Jiushi was not afraid of exposing himself, and he also wanted to get first place. That was why he used such a secretive move, even though it contained a small amount of the boundless divine heart's profoundness. Even though it contained some of the boundless deity heart's profound mysteries, Jiushi felt that he should not be discovered. As for being forced by Dongwu Shuang to the very end, Jiushi no longer concealed himself and directly revealed his full strength. "I can't blame them," the Calm Sea Prefecture Master said. The Calm Sea Prefecture Master continued, "The boundless deity heart is extremely rare even amongst grade 1 deity hearts. Bai Sha and the others have yet to grasp the boundless deity heart, and the secret skill they used previously was rather hidden. Naturally, they would not be able to tell." And then, Monarch Mo Shui nodded. "Grade 1 deity heart. Most world deities would have a spacetime deity heart, extremity deity heart, creation deity heart, primal deity heart, and world deity heart. As for the boundless deity heart, it was extremely rare. It was just like how it was extremely rare for someone to comprehend the mirage deity heart from a grade 2 deity heart. The boundless deity heart was also extremely rare, as it represented a unique essence of the entire world. Even world deities would find it hard to comprehend it. Only after becoming a stage 4 world deity would they begin to comprehend it by analogy. Even if they did not completely grasp it, they would at least have a rough understanding of it. As such, both the Calm Sea Prefecture Master and Monarch Mo Shui were able to see through it. In truth, Jiushi had only managed to comprehend the boundless deity heart after being trapped in a certain place for many years due to a fortuitous encounter. It was there that he experienced the meaning of boundless, and eventually grasped the boundless deity heart. The boundless deity heart was extremely rare, and its methods were extremely strange. It could be considered a school of its own. Formidable. Dongwu Shuang also saw the scene of Jiushi's battle in the distant spherical cage. Countless illusory palms converged to form a huge golden palm. Its power shocked even Dongwu Shuang. "Unless I use a grade 1 deity heart, it's impossible for me to win. He's cultivated for nearly 6 million years. It's one thing for him to use a grade 1 deity heart. I've only cultivated my heart for 2,000 years or so. If I were to use a grade 1 deity heart, it would most likely be known to all powerful existences." Dongwu Shuang thought to himself. Forget it. Big Brother White Sand also said that if I were ranked 2nd, his bet wouldn't be too bad. Only if I were ranked 3rd would he lose miserably. Dongwu Shuang immediately said, "I admit defeat." Although he could still continue fighting, there was no need to delay any longer. Hua! He was directly expelled out of the spherical cage and into the air. Standing in midair and looking at the countless figures of Jiushi in the distant spherical cage, Dongwu Shuang could not help but sigh inwardly. Boundless? Is this the boundless deity heart of a grade 1 deity heart? No wonder I couldn't tell which of his countless bodies was the real one. So they were all fake. Or perhaps, every single one of them could be the real one. The trillions of figures could all be fake. Or the real body could hide within one of them. Or the real body could be scattered among the trillions of bodies. For example, the chaotic deity heart and the extremity deity heart were both extremely powerful. However, when they encountered the boundless deity heart, they would find it troublesome. In fact, they might not even be able to touch the enemy. However, the deity heart that Dongwu Shuang grasped was the domain-type world deity heart. Naturally, he was the world lord. The world suppression was a perfect counter to the boundless deity heart. "I admit defeat." After Dongwu Shuang admitted defeat, the countless figures of Jiushi instantly dissipated, leaving only a single figure. Dressed in white robes and with white hair, he indifferently glanced at Dongwu Shuang with a hint of arrogance in his eyes. In his opinion, he had grasped a grade 1 deity heart, so the myriad flower feast should have been a walk in the park. The champion of the Calm Sea Prefecture should naturally be him. As for Dongbush Shuang, while his potential was not bad, his actual strength. The gap between them was huge. Grade 1 deity heart? That Jiushi has grasped a Grade 1 deity heart? He's that powerful? It's normal for Dongbua to lose to him. After all, the two of them aren't even on the same level. Countless spectators cried out in alarm. Jiushi was also expelled from the spherical cage. His lips curled into a smile as his gaze swept across the crowd. By then, Dongbua Shuang had already descended and returned to his original position. Brother Dongbua, I didn't think that Jiushi would have already grasped a Grade 1 deity heart. Losing to him is something that can't be helped. 7th Mayu said with a smile. It can't be helped. Dongbua Shuang did not seem to mind at all. At this time, the voice of the Bloodshed God Palace's emissary resounded through the sky. The Calm Sea Prefecture selection for the Myriad Flower Feast has ended, and the top 100 have been selected. These 100 will set off for the Bloodshed God Palace in 3 years. Star. Chapter 463. The Legion soldiers maintained order, and the spectators began to disperse. Dongbua Shuang, drunk guests, and the others returned to their own caverns. On the high platform, the White Sand City Lord and the others stood up to leave. After all, the 3 selections of the Calm Sea Prefecture had ended, and there was no need for them to stay any longer. Old Brother White Sand, are you going to the Bloodshed God Palace? King Ronghai asked. Even if it's for his brother Dongbua, he'll still go and spectate. The Ink Cloud City Lord laughed from the side. The White Sand City Lord grinned, stroking his beard in delight. Ink Cloud City Lord, you guessed correctly. I'm indeed going to the Bloodshed God Palace to take a look, and see which powerful existence my brother Dongbua will eventually become the disciple of. You don't need to worry about that. That little fellow Dongbua is extremely talented. The Ink Cloud City Lord said confidently. The Ink Cloud City Lord said confidently. He's already this strong in just over 2,300 years. His Mirage Deity Heart and Star Deity Heart both have a chance of breaking through. Under the guidance of a powerful existence, he has a high chance of breaking through to Grade 1 Deity Heart within 10,000 years. With such potential, powerful existences will definitely be willing to take the initiative to choose him. I'm not worried about whether or not he'll be chosen by a powerful existence. The White Sand City Lord shook his head. If even someone with Dongbua's potential isn't chosen, how many others will? On the surface, Jiushi might be stronger than Dongbua Shuang, but Jiushi had cultivated for nearly 6 million years. His potential was far inferior to Dongbua Shuang's. What I'm slightly worried about is whether or not Dongbua has any hope of becoming the disciple of one of those 3. The White Sand City Lord was filled with anticipation. Those 3? Marshal Qin, King Ronghai, and the others could not help but shake their heads. Difficult. Reporting to Prefecture Master, the Calm Sea Prefecture selections have ended. I'll be returning to the Bloodshed God Palace first, the emissary said to the Prefecture Master. Go. The Calm Sea Prefecture Master nodded. The emissary of the Bloodshed God Palace was supposed to report the situation of the survival battle as soon as possible so that it could be sorted into more detailed reports and sent to the powerful existences. Facing this river, even world deities would not be able to fly. They had to take a boat to cross it. This river, which was born out of the void, encircled a vast continent in the starry sky. The length of this river was millions and millions of kilometers, so long that it was hard to even count it. Even the Calm Sea Prefecture city, which was as big as it was, could only barely match the width of this river. There were countless cultivators on this continent. In the center of the continent was a luxurious black palace. In a garden within the black palace, a black-robed, black-haired old man sat cross-legged with his eyes closed. He seemed to have no aura at all, as if he had become one with the palace, the continent, and even the surging void river. Master! A beautiful woman in red walked in and looked at him nervously before speaking respectfully. The black-robed, black-haired old man opened his eyes and looked at the red-robed woman. This is an intelligence report sent over by the Bloodshed God Palace. The selection of the 19 prefectures of the Bloodshed God Palace has concluded, with 100 candidates from each prefecture. In total, there is 1,900 candidates. The red-robed woman respectfully handed over a blood-colored scroll, which immediately floated in front of the black-robed, black-haired old man. With a single glance, the old man understood everything. Not bad. There are quite a few outstanding youngsters in this myriad flower feast. The black-robed, black-haired old man sighed. Is there anyone that you want, master? The red-robed woman asked with a smile. 2 or 3. The one I like the most is a brat called Donghua. It's a pity that I didn't take a fancy to him. I reckon that many other powerful existences will take a fancy to him as well. I wonder who he'll eventually become a disciple of. If master wants to fight, he'll definitely be able to, the red-robed woman said. His Majesty hasn't accepted a disciple in a long time, so it's unlikely that he will, the black-robed, black-haired old man said. I'm just afraid that those 3 will try to snatch him from me. Those 3? The red-robed woman was startled. As the news spread, many of the powerful existences who were about to participate in the myriad flower feast came to know of the young geniuses with great potential. Drunk Guest, for example, was a pretty good candidate, but he was already the personal disciple of the powerful Yugong. There were not many who were sufficiently talented but didn't have a powerful existence as a master. Moreover, if one's potential wasn't too dazzling, the powerful existences wouldn't bother fighting over it. After all, it didn't make much of a difference. Thus, there were only a few people worth fighting over. Eastern Europe's Snow Eagle was one of them. Kamsi Prefecture, Donghua Shui Ying's cavern dwelling, within a cultivation room. I hope that I can become a disciple of His Majesty God Emperor during this myriad flower feast, Donghua Shuang thought. However, His Majesty is the strongest expert in the deity world, so there's not much meaning in accepting a disciple. It's been a long time since he's accepted a disciple. It'd be great if I could become a disciple of one of the 3 ancestors. Powerful existences. They transcended the river of time and were truly eternal existences. Although stage 4 world deities were rare, and taking that step to become a powerful existence was difficult, the Bloodshed God Palace still had 23 powerful existences. Over the long years, the Bloodshed God Palace had a total of 23 powerful existences. The most dazzling of them all was His Majesty Bloodblade. The second was the 3rd ancestor. Only after that were the other 19 powerful existences. The 3rd ancestor, the first, was called the Monarch of Destruction. He was originally the Abyss Monarch of one of the layers of the Dark Abyss, and one of the earliest powerful existences in the Dark Abyss. His age could even be ranked in the top 3. When his avatar arrived in the deity world, he took in a disciple while roaming the deity world. That disciple was the current Bloodblade. As an ancient monarch of the Dark Abyss, he gradually improved as he taught Bloodblade. Although his current combat power was no longer comparable to that of his disciple, he was still stronger than most powerful existences. Furthermore, he specialized in teaching disciples. Over the long years, other than Bloodblade, he had taught a total of 5 powerful existences. Thus, even though he was born in the Dark Abyss, the Monarch of Destruction had an extremely high status within the Bloodshed God Palace. He was greatly respected, and he usually resided within the Bloodshed God Palace's territory. The second was called Pangi. Pangi was one of the earliest savage existences born in the deity world. During the earliest era of the deity world, there were many deity world creatures. They slaughtered each other, and only 5 of them managed to survive and become powerful existences. They were also known as the Fierce 5 of the deity world. Pangi was the head of the Fierce 5. The other 4 were at the standard of ordinary powerful existences. Only Pangi was much stronger. The third was called the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master. The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture was also one of the 19 prefectures of the Bloodshed God Palace. The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master was only a Stage 4 world deity. According to logic, the longer a Stage 4 world deity lived, their temperament would gradually change, to the point where they could no longer maintain their original heart. An ordinary stage 4 world deity would live for 10 billion years, or at most a few billion years. Very few could live beyond 20 billion years. But the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master had already lived for 500 billion years, and was the longest living stage 4 world deity. Even now, there were no signs of his true deity heart crumbling. Furthermore, his combat power was exceptionally strong, even stronger than ordinary powerful existences. He was one of the 3 ancestors. In the deity world and dark abyss, there were no longer any extravagant hopes that his true deity heart would crumble. After all, ordinary stage 4 world deities could only live for 10 billion years. But what about him? He had lived for far too long. There were even some powerful existences who had fallen, and none of them had lived as long as he did. Even though he was not a powerful existence, everyone treated him as one, and ordinary powerful existences had to treat him with respect. Sacred Master Crimson Dust, for instance, had clearly not lived as long as the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master. The 3 ancestors' combat power far surpasses that of ordinary powerful existences. Dongbu Shuang thought, it's just that once their combat power reaches this level, they don't care much about accepting disciples. Dongbu, Her Highness Meiyu has come to visit. Jing Qiu's voice came from outside the cultivation room. Chapter 464. As soon as Dongbu Shuang left the cultivation room, he saw 7th Meiyu standing in the courtyard. 7th Meiyu still had the appearance of a white-robed handsome youth. He turned his head and smiled. Brother Dongbu, my father wishes to meet you. Your father? Dongbu Shuang was startled. May I ask, my father is Monarch Mo Shui. 7th Meiyu did not hide anything. Monarch Mo Shui? Dongbu Shuang suddenly understood. He had been wondering why Monarch Mo Shui had come to watch the Kamsi Prefecture's selections. So it turned out that his children had come as well. He had only heard that Monarch Mo Shui had 6 daughters. 7th Meiyu was only at the deity realm, so she was clearly much younger. Could it be that Monarch Mo Shui finally had a son? Jing Qiu, who was standing to the side, was also somewhat startled. Monarch Mo Shui wishes to meet the Snow Eagle? Amen. 7th Meiyu nodded. My father is currently at my cave residence. Brother Dongbu, let's head over first. Jing Qiu, I'll be heading over first, Dongbu Shuang said. Since Monarch Mo Shui had summoned him, he naturally could not be negligent. Jing Qiu nodded lightly, sending Dongbu Shuang and 7th Meiyu off with her gaze. Within the hall of 7th Meiyu's cave residence, Monarch Mo Shui was seated cross-legged. Upon entering, Dongbu Shuang respectfully greeted. Junior Dongbu pays his respects to Monarch. Have a seat, Monarch Mo Shui said with a smile. Dongbu Shuang immediately sat down behind a table, while 7th Meiyu sat opposite him. Within the hall were Monarch Mo Shui, Dongbu, 7th Meiyu, and the attendants. I've watched all of your battles, Monarch Mo Shui said. Monarch Mo Shui said, although your potential is not bad, you have taken many detours, and even made many laughable mistakes. You should have never received pointers from powerful beings. Not even Stage 4 world deities have given you pointers, right? Stage 4 world deities were just one step away from becoming powerful existences, and their understanding of the laws of the world was already incomparably close to that of powerful existences. Yes, this junior has always been exploring the path of cultivation, Dongbu Shuang replied respectfully. No wonder. Tell me about the secret skill of your star divine heart. Monarch Mo Shui casually pointed, and a long spear appeared in midair. The spear technique displayed by this long spear was precisely chaotic crushing suppression. At Monarch Mo Shui's level, he had long grasped the chaotic whole deity heart. Therefore, imitating this secret skill was simply a walk in the park. Look at this secret skill of yours. The moment this Monarch Mo Shui came, he began to give pointers. This made Dongbu Shuang secretly suspicious. Why did this Monarch Mo Shui treat him so well? You think highly of my potential? But in the eyes of others, he was not a grade 1 true meaning transcendent. It was unknown how long it would take for him to become a stage 3 or 4 world deity. Even though Dongbu Shuang was perplexed, he still listened attentively. After all, such guidance was extremely precious. This finger poke. It lasted for a full 2 days. 7th May you had been drinking fruit wine by the side, watching calmly. Monarch Mo Shui was in high spirits as he gave pointers. Dongbu Shuang would often raise many doubts. From this, Monarch Mo Shui could feel that Dongbu Shui Ying's comprehension ability was extremely high. Alright, let's stop here. Monarch Mo Shui stopped. Only then did Dongbu Shui Ying reluctantly stop. After 2 days of teaching, he was no longer as unfamiliar with Monarch Mo Shui. Even though they were not master and disciple in name, there was some truth to it. One must know that it was rare for an inner disciple of a powerful existence to receive pointers. This kind of wholehearted guidance for 2 consecutive days was more than what many inner disciples of powerful existences received in a lifetime. Senior, why do you treat me? Dongbu Shuang could not help but ask. Let's form karma. Monarch Mo Shui smiled. 3 years later you will head to the Bloodshed God Palace. At that time, I'm afraid there will be many powerful existences willing to accept you as a disciple. Have you decided who to choose? Of course, the stronger the master, the better. Dongbu Shuang honestly said. If I can become His Majesty's disciple, that would naturally be the best. Being able to become the disciple of the 3 ancestors is already a great fortune. If not, then I'll choose the one that suits me. Monarch Mo Shui nodded. His Majesty has not accepted disciples for a long time. His Majesty will not care about grade 1 true meaning transcendence. But the 3 ancestors, you have some hope. Let me remind you, of the 3 ancestors, the best would be Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master, followed by Overlord Destruction, and finally Pangyi. Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master is the best? Dongbu Shuang was shocked. Isn't he a stage 4 world deity? Have you seen a stage 4 world deity who has lived for more than 500 billion years? Monarch Mo Shui shook his head, his voice low. What I've told you, you must not spread it. Yes. Dongbu Shuang nodded. Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master is a stage 4 world deity on the surface, but in reality, he cannot be considered a world deity. Monarch Mo Shui's gaze was complicated. Cannot be considered a world deity? Dongbu Shuang was puzzled. This old man, his absolute art has always been unwilling to be spread out. If I were to learn it, Monarch Mo Shui muttered. His eyes were filled with unwillingness. He then grinned. Let's not talk about it anymore. In short, taking him as your teacher is absolutely not a mistake. As long as he is willing to accept you, you can immediately go and take him as your teacher. If your potential is really high enough to receive his attention and love, and learn that absolute art of his, then you really have to thank me. Junior understands. Dongbu Shuang nodded. If the 3 ancestors do not invite you, then you can do as you see fit. Monarch Mo Shui said. After the discussion, Dongbu Shuang also left and returned to his cave dwelling. In the following days he would be in closed-door cultivation. This time, the guidance he received was of great help to him. Monarch Mo Shui's guidance was mainly on the Star Deity Heart. As for the Mirage Deity Heart, Monarch Mo Shui's guidance was very simple. It was to let him temporarily give up his research on the Mirage body and focus more on the domain aspect. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, 3 years had passed. An extravagant starfield flying ship departed from the Calm Sea Prefecture. The Calm Sea Prefecture Master was personally driving it, leading Dongbu Shuang and a large group of people. Riding on a starfield flying ship is truly comfortable. Standing on the deck and gazing at the colorful and flowing space-time tunnel, Dongbu Shuang, Jing Qiu, the Purple Thunder Emperor, and the other deities of the Xia people were all sighing in amazement. Naturally, the other deities ranked in the top 100 were also watching with their subordinates and servants. If one were to use a spatial teleportation array, it would feel as though one had sunk into a swamp. It would be extremely uncomfortable. The Purple Thunder Emperor sighed in admiration. but using a starfield flying ship is much more comfortable. Their surroundings were filled with colorful and flowing space-time tunnels. This huge ship was flying within them. This flight, it took the time to brew a cup of tea. Because the distance between the Calm Sea Prefecture and the Bloodshed God Palace was simply too great, even if one were to use a spatial teleportation array, it would still take the time taken to brew a cup of tea. To feel as though one was being squeezed by a swamp for the time taken to brew a cup of tea was truly suffering. Experts with sufficiently high statuses and strength, such as Stage 3 world deities, would usually have their own starfield flying ship. We're here. The colorful and flowing space-time tunnel suddenly came to an end, and the ship instantly flew out. So this is the Bloodshed God Palace? Dongbu Shuiying and the others all gasped in amazement at the dazzling scene before them. The Bloodshed God Palace's myriad flower feast? A withered wooden ship arrived at the Bloodshed God Palace. Standing on it was a white-robed, bald youth. His eyes seemed to contain a boundless world, and the corners of his mouth curled into a smile. I heard that junior apprentice brother Donghua is also participating in the myriad flower feast, and that he's quite dazzling in the Calm Sea Prefecture? As his senior apprentice brother, I'll definitely have to take a good look. A fiery red ship with flames rising from its surface. The fiery red ship passed through the space-time tunnel and arrived in the starry sky outside the Bloodshed God Palace. Soon after, the ship disappeared. A white-haired, youthful-faced old man appeared with a smile on his face. This was none other than Chihua Laozu. I sent Donghua to participate, but who would have thought that this kid would be so dazzling? In this myriad flower feast, in terms of potential, Donghua Shuiying could easily rank in the top 3. So. As the myriad flower feast began, many Stage 4 world deities and powerful existences were invited. Many of them were not from the Bloodshed God Palace's territory, and some were even from the Dark Abyss. They were all invited. Many ancient and mysterious existences from the deity world, as well as some who kept a low profile yet were extremely powerful, were invited one after another. As long as there was no enmity between them, they would still give face to the Blood Blade. Star. Chapter 466. Donghua Shuiying and the others stood on the deck of the starfield flying ship, looking at the dazzling scene in front of them. The Bloodshed God Palace! This is the Bloodshed God Palace! Everyone exclaimed. In the starry sky ahead of them was a floating continent. This continent was only slightly larger than the Calm Sea Prefecture city. There was a chain of palaces on the continent. Among them, the palace with the symbol of blood edge in the center was the tallest and most majestic. There were a total of 9 statues scattered around the 4 corners of the Bloodshed God Palace. These 9 statues were all kinds of beasts with armor on their bodies. Each of these mutated beasts was over 100 billion kilometers tall, second only to the main palace in the center. It's so beautiful. The entire Bloodshed God Palace emitted a misty rainbow light. This was because every palace building, every street, and even the surroundings of the 9 statues were covered with ancient arrays. These arrays were constantly drawing upon the power of heaven and earth, emitting all sorts of colorful lights. Thus, even though the Bloodshed God Palace was only this big, its light illuminated hundreds of millions of kilometers. This isn't just beautiful. For these arrays to have such power when activated automatically, one can imagine how terrifying their true power is. 7th Mei watched from afar. According to what I know, the Bloodshed God Palace was personally constructed by His Majesty, and it has been reinforced over countless years. Just the slightest release of power from these arrays is enough to kill powerful existences, much less world deities. Not even powerful existences can resist it? As expected of the Bloodshed God Palace. Everyone present could only sigh in shock. After all, this was the core of the Bloodshed God Palace, and also the place where the strongest expert in the deity world, Bloodshed God Emperor, resided. To His Majesty, God Emperor, killing ordinary powerful existences was a walk in the park. Thus, it was not strange for the arrays he had meticulously laid out to have such power. The Calm Sea Prefecture Master's ship arrived at the Bloodshed God Palace. Under the guidance of the Bloodshed God Palace's soldiers, everyone was taken to their respective residences. Donghua, this is where you and your companions will be staying, a muscular black-armored soldier said. I'm sure you all know the rules of the Bloodshed God Palace. If you break the rules and lose your life, it will be too late for regrets. We understand, Donghua Shuang said. All right, cultivate quietly. When the myriad flower feast begins, you will be summoned to participate in the final Bloodshed God Palace battle, the black-armored soldier instructed, then turned around and left. Donghua Shuang sent him off with his eyes. To the side, the Dragon Mountain Emperor sighed. As expected of the Bloodshed God Palace, even the most ordinary soldier is a world deity. Along the way, none of the soldiers I saw were deity rank. Longshan. The Purple Thunder Emperor laughed. The legions of the Bloodshed God Palace are divided into 3 classes. The legions within the Starfield are usually the lowest class 3, and the few legions within the prefecture are all class 2. As for the legions within the Bloodshed God Palace, any one of them is a true class 1 legion. In a first-class legion, even the lowest soldiers are world deities. A first-class legion can directly deal with powerful existences. Oh. The Dragon Mountain Emperor suddenly understood. He hadn't been in the divine world for long, and he had always lived in a small place, so he knew very little. This time, in order to go to the prefecture city, he had used up all his treasures just to pay for the teleportation array. Let's go in first, Shuang said as he looked around him. In the distance, there were many experts participating in the Bloodshed God Palace battle with their companions. They entered the cavern dwelling. This cavern dwelling could be considered the smallest in the Bloodshed God Palace, being only 5 kilometers in circumference. Donghua Shuang sat cross-legged on the grass next to a river within the cavern dwelling. He held a crystal jade in his hand, and the information contained within the crystal jade flowed into his mind. This crystal jade had been sent over by a soldier of the Bloodshed God Palace, and it contained the battle scenes of the 1,900 deity experts participating in the Bloodshed God Palace battle, mainly the arena battles and the survival battles. Of the 1,900 deity experts, there are a total of 5 who have grasped a grade 1 deity heart like Jiushi. Perhaps there are still 2 or 3 who have yet to reveal their true strength. Donghua Shuang thought. Those who grasped a grade 1 deity heart definitely won't be able to defeat them. Based on past experience, the first few with grade 1 deity hearts will usually be occupied by them. However, my goal is to become a disciple of a powerful existence and accumulate some experience. Then I'll eat a myriad flower true fruit. That would be perfect. Donghua Shuang then began to ponder over the opponents one by one. However, the combat power of this batch of opponents is truly high. Recalling the battle scenes, he began to categorize their combat power. Who was undefeatable? Who was able to fight against them? Who was able to defeat them? The Bloodshed God Palace had sent this information to every participant precisely so that they could understand themselves and their enemies. Only then would they be able to fight more brilliantly during the Bloodshed God Palace battle. If a powerful expert were to foolishly clash with someone who grasped a grade 1 deity heart, that would be an unjust loss. Snow Eagle, Snow Eagle. A voice came from afar. Donghua Shuang turned his head, only to see his wife walking over with a white-robed bald teenager. The white-robed bald teenager had a unique aura, as if he could see through everything and transcend everything. His eyes were boundlessly vast, as if they contained millions upon millions of worlds. This was a super expert that caused Donghua Shuang to sigh in admiration. He was in existence on the same level as Monarch Mo Shui and the Calm Sea Prefecture Master. Junior disciple Brother Donghua. The white-robed bald teenager walked over with a smile on his face. Greetings, senior disciple Brother Ying. Donghua Shuang hurriedly stepped forward and bowed. I've heard that Crimson Rock Mountain fell into the material world after teacher's death, but under a stroke of luck, he accepted a good disciple. Who would have thought that junior disciple Brother Donghua would be so amazing? The white-robed bald teenager laughed and praised. I've heard from Chihua Laozi that you've sacrificed half of your soul to save your wife, yet you're still so powerful. I'm afraid that there will be more than one powerful existence willing to accept you as a disciple in this myriad flower feast. Senior disciple brother is overpraising me, Dongbu Shuang said. Jing Qiu hurriedly said, since eldest disciple brother is here, I brought him here. They had all cultivated on Crimson Dust Island, so they were familiar with eldest disciple brother Huiming's appearance. Right, senior disciple brother, the enemy who killed teacher wouldn't be from the Bloodshed God Palace, right? Dongbu Shuang asked. I don't want to become their disciple. It's a powerful existence from the Temporal Island, Huiming said. If it were a powerful existence from the Bloodshed God Palace, Scarlet Flame wouldn't have allowed you to participate in the myriad flower feast. I understand. Dongbu Shuang nodded. As they conversed, invisible ripples began to spread around them. These ripples were capable of preventing all probing. For instance, the sack that ancestor Black Wind had once obtained was capable of rendering all laws of nature ineffective. Powerful existences had transcended the laws of the world, and they could easily create such treasures. Thus, both Huiming and Dongbu Shuang had such treasures that could block all probing. Once they were blocked, even the Temporal Temple wouldn't be able to investigate. After all, the Temporal Temple could only reverse time. In the deity world, most assassins would use such treasures. Even if they were killed, they wouldn't be able to find out who the killer was. Teacher's enmity involves powerful existences, so you don't need to worry about it, Huiming said. It's too distant for you. I understand. Teacher didn't insist on us taking revenge, Dongbu Shuang said with a smile. Haha. Huiming lightly nodded and smiled. I really envy you, junior disciple brother. You control a material mortal world, and you even have a lover by your side. Even during the myriad flower feast, your sister-in-law accompanied you. I'm starting to feel a bit jealous. Beside him, Jing Qiu also laughed. Dongbu Shuang looked at his wife. When their gazes met, they could feel each other's thoughts. I'm also very satisfied, Dongbu Shuang said. If he was all alone, what was the point of being unparalleled? Star. Chapter 467. Huiming replied. Junior brother Dongbu, I am currently staying at the distant Dust Temple. If you wish to find me, you can go there to look for me. As for normal communication, you can do so through communication treasures. All right. Dongbu Shuang and Huiming left an imprint on each other so that communication treasures could be used to sense each other. Soon, Senior Huiming bade farewell and left. Senior Huiming is greatly respected by the disciples of Crimson Rock Mountain. Seeing him today, I can see that he is indeed extraordinary. He even came to see me and treated me so courteously. Dongbu Shuang sighed. Although he had potential, news of his grade 1 true meaning had never been revealed. Secondly, Senior Huiming was also a grade 1 true meaning transcendent. He was also the only grade 1 true meaning transcendent that Sacred Master Crimson Dust had accepted. He was now a stage 4 world deity. I heard that Senior Huiming suffered a setback in his love life when he was young and became a monk. Jing Qiu sighed. His talent was outstanding, and he was even a grade 1 true meaning transcendent. Later on, because of a grudge, he began to spread his faith without restraint, and quickly became a stage 4 world deity. Dongbu Shuang nodded. Faith, it was a huge help to one's cultivation. By accumulating the power of faith, one's cultivation speed would explosively increase. A grade 1 true meaning transcendent with outstanding talent would naturally improve by leaps and bounds. However, faith was the key to success and failure. Faith was also bound by karma. The more faith one absorbed, the harder it would be to transcend. This was also the biggest obstacle for stage 4 world deities to become powerful existences. Even so, there were still countless world deities who continued to spread and absorb faith. If they did not absorb faith, they would at most become stage 2 world deities. If they absorbed faith, they would have a chance of becoming stage 3 world deities. Those who were extremely lucky might even become stage 4 world deities. Naturally, they were all willing to absorb faith. As for those who could not become powerful existences, Since ancient times, how many had become powerful existences in the deity world and dark abyss? It was too difficult. Of course, grade 1 true meaning transcendence would usually not absorb faith unless there was a special reason. Dongbu Shuiying had also been warned by the weapon spirit, Crimson Rock, not to absorb faith. That was because a grade 1 true meaning transcendence potential was extremely great, and his chances of becoming a stage 4 world deity were already very high. It was not worth it for him to save time by absorbing faith, which was akin to cutting off all hope of becoming a powerful existence. The main hall was extremely tall, and at the highest point was the place where the myriad flower feast was held. Clouds and mist surrounded the main hall, and one after another, great existences flew over from afar. Each of these great existences had their own unique auras. Some were blazing hot, as though they could instantly incinerate everything within 1,000,000 miles, some were reserved like a bottomless abyss, and some were so sharp that they tore through the void, causing Dongbu Shuiying and the others' hearts to palpitate. Dongbu Shuiying and the other 1,900 great existences were currently seated at the outermost perimeter, each with a table of food in front of them. There were also soldiers standing guard around them, the weakest of which was a stage 1 world deity. Occasionally, a stage 2 world deity could be seen as well. As for the area near His Majesty and the other powerful existences, there were even stage 3 world deity guards standing guard respectfully. I remember that General Ying's father is a stage 3 world deity and His Majesty's personal guard. Dongbu Shuiying glanced in the direction of His Majesty, and saw the stage 3 world deity guards standing guard. I reckon that General Ying's father is one of them. As deities, they could not clearly see what was happening within the banquet. All they could feel was an invisible pressure, and when they looked over with their naked eyes, all they could see was a blur. Bloodblade was seated at the highest point. He was dressed in a crimson robe, and his eyes were deep and serene. The area around him seemed to be filled with endless darkness and destruction. Just by sitting there, he was able to instill fear in the other powerful existences who were participating in the banquet. Beside him, there were 3 others who were seated at the same height as him. The aura of these 3 people was so strong that it was comparable to that of Bloodblade. One of them was a ruler from the dark abyss. His body was huge and towering, and his eyes were filled with an endless bloodthirst. The dark abyss had a total of 3 rulers. Just like how the temporal island lord, Bloodblade, and the myriad god palace head stood at the apex of the deity world, these 3 rulers also stood at the apex of the dark abyss. There was another abyss ruler. He was a cold male dressed in golden armor. His gaze was the sharpest, and none of the powerful existences below dared to look him in the eye. The final person was a graceful and luxurious woman. Her aura was the most reserved and gentle, though she was not at a disadvantage when compared to Bloodblade and the others. Other than these 4, the other powerful existences were all seated below. They were grand and majestic, and there were close to 100 of them. Some of them came from the dark abyss, while others were subordinates of the bloodshed god palace. Most of them were independent powerful existences who did not belong to any organization. These powerful existences were all extremely arrogant, and most of them were unwilling to serve others. Even powerful existences like Bloodblade, Temporal Island Lord, and Myriad God Palace Head weren't willing to serve them. For instance, the Bloodshed God Palace. Even though they had several powerful existences under them, some of them were seeking refuge, while others had a teacher-disciple relationship. Other than the powerful existences, there were also Stage 4 world deities attending the banquet. However, all Stage 4 world deities belonged to the Bloodshed God Palace, and Stage 4 world deities from outside organizations were not qualified to be invited. Old monkey, I heard that you snatched a Sun Star nucleus stone from the Sun Star? Who are you listening to? Sun Star nucleus stone? The Sun Star hasn't produced a star nucleus stone for hundreds of billions of years, and I managed to snatch one? All of you must have gone crazy thinking about the Sun Star nucleus stone. Come, let's have a drink. Brother Wu, we haven't seen each other in a long time. I didn't expect you to come to the Myriad Flower Feast. I've been in seclusion for a long time. I've made some progress, so I came out to relax. The Almighties chatted in twos and threes. Those who were close to each other sat together. Those with grudges kept their distance. Everyone. Bloodblade sat high above, his voice somewhat cold. With so many good friends here, the myriad flower feast is so lively. I'm also very happy. Everyone, let's continue drinking and chatting. While we're chatting, how about watching the little fellows from our Bloodshed God Palace compete? The powerful existences present all turned to look outside. Their gazes easily landed on the 1,900 deities outside. Most of them, however, were just there to watch the show. After all, only the powerful existences of the Bloodshed God Palace were allowed to accept disciples. Other powerful existences could not accept disciples. Chiwa Laozu was also among the powerful existences. He was also an idle powerful existence who had not joined the Bloodshed God Palace. Let's begin, then. Bloodblade calmly ordered. To the God Emperor who had stood at the apex for so many years, the myriad flower feast was just a gathering of old friends. As for choosing disciples, that was just a minor matter. Even those with sufficiently high statuses would find it hard to accept disciples. For instance, Bloodblade was too lazy to even accept grade 1 true meaning transcendence. He was a stage 4 world deity. His gaze swept across the 1,900 deities. I'll send you all over now to begin the Bloodshed God Palace battle. Dongbu Shuiying, 7th Meiyu, Jiushi, Drunk Guest, and many other powerful deities from the other prefectures were all waiting quietly. Finally, the Blood Armor General activated the array. Beneath the region where Dongbu Shuiying and the other 1,900 deities were located, a golden array lit up. An unseen force immediately wrapped around the consciousness of Dongbu Shuiying and the others and sent them flying into the distance. For a moment, Dongbu Shuiying and the others lost consciousness. Their consciousness was transported to another location. Amen? Dongbu Shuiying looked at the towering mountain in front of him, as well as the mountain range in the distance. There were countless caves within this mountain range, and within these caves were shrouded in mist. Violet mist, black mist, golden mist. Shuiying swept his gaze across the area and saw several other deity experts standing in midair. Clearly, there were a total of 1,900 deities scattered throughout the mountain range. Truly formidable. My consciousness was transported here so easily. Dongbu Shuiying sensed his own body. Furthermore, this body is exactly the same as my true body. The same time immemorial body level 3. And the same great chaotic true force. The Bloodshed God Palace battle was the safest. Because it was merely a consciousness descending. Even if one died in battle, their consciousness would only return. First place in the ranking battle and second place in the survival battle of the Calm Sea Prefecture, Dongbu? In the distance, a deity frowned when he saw Dongbu Shuiying. He immediately flew off in another direction. Clearly, Dongbu Shuiying was ranked at the very front of the 1,900 deities. Only those who grasped grade 1 deity hearts could suppress him. Star. Chapter 468. The mountain range stretched on endlessly. Dongbu Shuiying swept his gaze across the area. Including himself, there were a total of 3 deity experts within the range of this mountain range. Everyone was maintaining a sufficient distance from each other. Weapons began to condense from the soil and rocks of the mountain. Sabers, swords, staffs, whips, spears, hammers, axes, all of these weapons were merely top-grade deity-ranked weapons. With a wave of his hand, Dongbu Shuiying summoned a storage treasure, 3 spears, and a large number of pikes. He easily refined the storage treasure, and put away the spears and pikes, leaving behind a new spear in his hand. In truth, Dongbu Shuiying's mirage body was already extremely tough, and the weapons it could transform into were more than enough for him to use. The 2 deity experts in the distance also chose their own weapons and waited silently. Since they dared to stay here, they had something to rely on to protect themselves. The Bloodshed God Palace battle does not restrict you by any means. Your final ranking will be determined by the number of venomous insects you kill. A majestic voice resounded in the ears of every deity expert. Only 100 will be able to attend the myriad flower feast and enjoy the myriad flower true fruit. These 100 will definitely be accepted as disciples by powerful existences. As for those ranked after the 100th place, it will depend on luck. Hua! High up in the sky above the mountain range, a gigantic blood-colored list suddenly appeared. Your ranking will be displayed on the list at all times. The list will change according to the number of venomous insects you kill. You can take a good look and know your own ranking, the majestic voice said. The Bloodshed God Palace battle will now begin. As soon as the voice finished, almost every mountain in the mountain range began to surge with energy, causing the mountain range to tremble. Dongbu Shuang and the two experts around him stared intently at the movements of this mountain range. All they saw was a violet mist slowly condensing from one of the caves on this mountain range, eventually forming a violet venomous insect about the size of a millstone. This venomous insect had a tough outer shell, and its compound eyes scanned its surroundings. Then, with a flap of its wings, it instantly disappeared. Shua! 3 starry blue-robed Dongbu Shuang and a skinny swordsman appeared at almost the same time, and an arrow tore through the air. All of them missed their target. However, the arrow streaked across the void and collided with the purple venomous bug in the void crack thousands of miles away. Both of them appeared in the real world. The arrow hit the purple poisonous insect's shell, and cracks appeared on the shell. The arrow fell down. On the other hand, the outer shell of the poisonous insect was gradually recovering. What a powerful poisonous insect! Dongbu Shuang, the skinny swordsman, and the huge man who shot the arrow from afar were all shocked. That huge man was called Guixia, and he came from the famous Bamboo Mountain Prefecture. In the survival battle of the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture, Guixia was ranked 19th. His archery was extremely powerful, and although it was not his ultimate move, it was still very powerful. Unexpectedly, he only managed to leave a crack on the venomous insect's shell. So south. The 3 Dongbu Shuayings disappeared at the same time, reappearing next to the purple venomous bug in the distance. Their 3 spears carried a world-destroying might as they executed the chaotic suppression, which was powered by the great chaotic true force. In an instant, the surrounding space started to collapse. The venomous insect wanted to escape, but it could not. It could only face this terrifying encirclement. Ping, ping, ping. The spears either struck the venomous insect's claws, abdomen, or directly on its shell. The venomous insect immediately let out an ear-piercing howl of pain. The howl created a shockwave that spread in all directions. The 3 mirage bodies all felt an intense pain in their ears, and they felt slightly dizzy. Fortunately, they had the time immemorial body, so they were able to endure it. Rip! A terrifying sword light suddenly appeared from the side, piercing through the venomous purple insect's head. However, it only managed to pierce through halfway before the skinny swordsman immediately pulled out his sword and retreated. This was because the 3 Dongbu Shuayings had simultaneously waved their spears and swept them towards him. He's really fast at escaping. The 3 Dongbu Shuayings glanced at him. They then continued to attack the venomous purple insect. This Dongbu is really strong. These venomous insects are really hard to kill. It's very difficult for the 2 of us to ambush and kill these venomous insects first. The skinny swordsman frowned from afar. The bow-wielding giant, Guixia, also frowned. Dongbu's mirage heart of Godheart has already reached an unimaginable level. His real body is hiding in the mirage, and we can't even find it. The 3 bodies that are fighting outside are all mirage bodies. Even if we could kill them, it would be pointless. Even if the mirage bodies die, they can quickly reform. Yes, I have no way of killing this venomous insect. The skinny swordsman turned around and instantly disappeared. The giant, Guixia, was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he watched from afar. At the same time, he had already drawn his godly bow and knocked 3 arrows. In the distance, the 3 Shuayings were frantically attacking the venomous bug. The venomous bug's defense was extremely strong, and under its all-out attack, its carapace began to gradually shatter. Only then did blood begin to seep out of its body. It was still madly howling as it fought against the three Shui Yings. Occasionally, it would shoot out a poisonous needle from its mouth. The attack was fast and sudden, and even the mirage body, with its tyrannical strength, would be pierced through. The poison was extremely potent, but the mirage body itself had no fear. It easily dispersed and condensed, repelling the poisonous needle. Right now! The giant Guixie's eyes lit up. Xiao, xiao, xiao! The 3 arrows were like 3 dazzling meteors. They drew 3 arcs in the air and instantly appeared around the venomous purple insect. Clang, clang, clang! The 3 Dongbu Shui Ying's bodies would rather use their bodies to block the venomous insect's attack than to wield their spears to block the 3 arrows. With Dongbu Shui Ying's mastery of the mirage and space, as well as the profoundness of his spear arts, it was not difficult for him to block the 3 arrows. The power of these arrows is really strong. The 3 Dongbu Shui Ying's bodies staggered from the impact. The venomous purple insect seized the opportunity to escape. South! The 3 Dongbu Shui Yings immediately chased after it. He would rather ignore the venomous insect and block my attack? The giant Guixie frowned. If it was any other deity expert, they would not be able to ignore the venomous insect. However, the mirage bodies would allow the venomous insect to attack freely. Forget it, forget it. I'll let him have this place. The giant Guixie's figure moved. Instantly, he turned into a dazzling beam of light. His speed was extremely fast, and with a flash, he disappeared into the void. Both he and the skinny swordsman were experts in speed. That was why they dared to compete with Dongbu Shuiying. Pung, pung, pung. With the coordination of various spear arts, the venomous insect's head was pierced through. However, the venomous insect did not die, and continued its frenzied counterattack. Pooh! The carapace was completely shattered. A spear pierced through the venomous insect's body, and with a violent shake, the venomous insect's tattered body shattered. Only then did the venomous insect die. What a fellow! Killing a venomous insect took me 10 breaths of time. Dongbu Shuiying was also speechless. He raised his head and looked at the huge blood-red board in the sky. There were already 65 names on it, and Dongbu Shuiying was ranked 65th. The entire sky above the Bloodshed God Palace was filled with illusory images of mountains, deity experts, and the incomparably huge blood-red board. Within the Bloodshed God Palace, everyone could see the Bloodshed God Palace battle when they raised their heads. His Majesty, the God Emperor, and the other Almighties were all chatting as they watched the scene unfold. Many of the world deities in the Bloodshed God Palace, such as the White Sands City Lord and King Ronghai, as well as other world deities who had come from all over the world, as well as some deities like the Xia clan deities and Jingqiu, were all looking up. Quick, look! The Xia people looked at the huge blood-red board excitedly. There are only 65 names on the board, and Dongbu's name is already on it. The Bloodshed God Palace battle has only just begun, the old man Purple Thunder Emperor said. The old man, the Purple Thunder Emperor said, the further it goes, the crueler it will be. Deity-level experts will even kill each other. Given Dongbu's strength, he should be able to participate in the myriad flower feast and enjoy a myriad flower true fruit, Yunhai said. They all looked on expectantly. Even though his real body was hiding in the mirage, it was still affected. This shocked Dongbu Shuiying. His true body is here. Out of all these deity realm experts, only this gray-robed man was able to discover Dongbu Shuiying's true body. He easily destroyed Dongbu Shuiying's concealment. Kill! A thunderous saber light flashed across the sky, piercing through the mirage and arriving in front of Dongbu Shuiying's real body. Descend! Countless white silk nets wrapped around Dongbu Shuiying. Extinguish! Dazzling light gathered from all directions, converging towards Dongbu Shuiying. All of a sudden, all of them unleashed their attacks. Shua! Dongbu Shuiying was so frightened that he immediately switched his body and appeared in front of one of his mirage bodies. So. With the help of the mirage bodies, Dongbu Shuiying quickly changed his body and fled at high speed. Moreover, it was hard to determine his whereabouts. After all, the location of the mirage bodies was purely a thought of Dongwu Shuang. Over there, over there, over there. Although the gray-robed man could sense the changes in Dongwu Shuang's body, the others were unable to keep up with his attacks. In the end, they could only watch as Dongwu Shuang escaped. This Dongwu's mirage secret skill is indeed powerful. It won't be easy to kill him. Forget it, let's get rid of this poisonous bug first. The 8 figures stood in midair and glanced at the fleeing Dongwu Shuang. Following which, the 8 of them surrounded the poisonous bug that Dongwu Shuang had injured. They did not have full confidence in this sneak attack. It would be a good thing if they could kill it. Even if they failed, they would still be able to kill a poisonous bug. After running for more than 10 mountains, Dongwu Shuang finally stopped. He turned his head and looked back. He couldn't help but feel helpless. My real body is hidden in the mirage. Although not many people can discover it, those who came to participate in this battle are all very powerful. I'm afraid 1 out of 10 people will be able to discover my real body. The mirage realm was indeed powerful. However, it was not unsolvable. For example, the gray-robed man had cultivated the minute divinity heart to an extremely high level and created his own domain-type secret skill. This domain was able to decipher his surroundings at the level of minute particles. Even if Dongwu Shuang hid in the mirage, he would not be able to escape the detection of the domain. Other than that, secret skills that contained the profound mysteries of space-time could also be deciphered. There were also other deity experts. Dongwu Shuang had already discovered quite a few who could discover his real body. After all, those who came to participate in this battle had all cultivated to an extremely high level. Even if they could not defeat him, there were still quite a few who could discover his real body. There's no helping it. I can only be more careful. Dongwu Shuang discovered that a new poisonous bug was being born in a cave far away. He immediately rushed over. With his current strength, he was in an awkward position. Those who were too strong, such as those who grasped a grade 1 deity heart, were unstoppable. Those who were too weak knew that they had no hope of surviving alone. Hence, they would band together and even swear an oath that they would not betray each other. Only those who relied on their own strength, usually, they were not willing to band together. This was because the efficiency of searching for poisonous bugs when working together was the same as working alone. As for killing the poisonous bugs, how would they split the profits? Equally? That was not beneficial to either side. How despicable. They actually worked together to kill my master. Sigh, my master did not manage to escape. Quick, 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 run! Big Brother was actually killed by a group of them. He escaped. He escaped. That was close. That was close. The countless living beings watching the battle in the Bloodshed God Palace raised their heads to look at the gigantic mountain range in the sky. As they watched the battles unfold, they were all extremely nervous. Many of those who participated in the battle moved in groups. As for those who were especially confident in themselves, they chose to act alone. If they acted alone, the venomous bugs would belong to them, but if they acted in groups, the venomous bugs would belong to someone else. In terms of efficiency, acting alone was naturally much more efficient. However, there were quite a few powerful ones who ended up being surrounded and killed. Interesting. Look at that little guy. He sure is crafty. That tall guy with the great axe. His self-created secret movement technique is pretty good. The powerful existences were leisurely watching the battle. As for those who acted alone but ended up being surrounded and killed, the powerful existences did not feel wronged. After all, they had chosen their own path, and they were especially confident in themselves. Even if they were surrounded and killed, they could only admit defeat. Dongwu, hurry, that was close. What's so close about that? With Dongwu's strength, how could he be surrounded and killed so easily? The deities of the Xia people, Jingqiu, and the rest were also watching nervously. Every time they saw Dongwu Shuang being chased by a group of deities, their hearts would tighten. Although it was dangerous to act alone, one venomous bug after another was killed by him. The number of kills by Donghua Shuang continued to rise. On the gigantic blood-colored ranking board, Donghua Shuang's name was also rising. 52nd, 39th, 33rd, 25th, 19th. After all, Donghua Shuang's strength had always been relatively strong. Apart from those who grasped a grade 1 deity heart, the other deities did not have much of an advantage over him. As long as he survived, his ranking would naturally rise. He's at the 15th place. The White Sand City Lord, who was drinking with King Ronghai and watching the battle, also raised his head. This Donghua might be able to enter the top 10. The Ink Cloud City Lord laughed. He was too busy during the New Year. He only finished writing after a short nap at night. Star. Chapter 470. As his ranking continued to rise, Donghua Shuang felt that it was only natural. After all, even though he was ranked 65th at the start, many of the people at the very front had only managed to kill the venomous insects by luck when they teamed up. Those fellows could not possibly always be the one to kill the venomous insects at the very last moment. If he were to always be the one to kill the venomous insects, perhaps even his teammates would take the initiative to leave. The 1,900 people who can enter the final Bloodshed God Palace battle have very small differences in strength. If 5, 6, or even 8 or 9 of them work together, only those with a grade 1 deity heart would be able to stop them. Donghua Shuang shook his head. Furthermore, when a group of them work together, they specialize in different aspects and can even complement each other, making them even more threatening. Right now, the only thing I can do is to do my best to survive. The Bloodshed God Palace battle was never meant to select the strongest 100. Instead, it was meant to select those who could kill the most venomous insects under the same rules. This was a test of every deity expert's decision. South Donghua Shuang traversed the vast mountain range again and again. As time passed, the rate at which venomous insects were born gradually increased. However, Donghua Shuang continued to ensure his own safety before killing the venomous insects. As a result, his ranking did not rise at all, hovering around the 15th position. His cautiousness coupled with his comprehension of the laws of profound mysteries allowed Donghua Shuang to continue living in this mountain range despite the deaths and elimination of deity experts. There's really no threat at all. As he traversed the mountain range, the white-haired and white-browed Jiushi waved his hand, condensing a huge golden palm in midair. It directly pressed down on a venomous insect that was trying to escape, instantly shattering it. Originally, I didn't want to expose myself so early in the Kalmsi Prefecture. I wanted to struggle for a while in the Bloodshed God Palace battle before revealing myself at the most crucial moment. It would be best if I could assassinate someone with a grade 1 deity heart. Unfortunately, because of that Donghua, I was exposed early on. Now, anyone who sees me would avoid me as much as possible. Jiushi muttered to himself. Beneath his white brows, his cold gaze swept across his surroundings. Furthermore, there's an invisible barrier at the edge of every mountain range that prevents domains from penetrating through. Grade 1 deity heart. If he wanted to, he could cover 100 million miles with a single thought, covering the entire mountain range where the Bloodshed God Palace battle was taking place. In that case, they, who grasped a grade 1 deity heart, would be able to wantonly slaughter them. After all, no matter how he tried to flee, he wouldn't be able to escape from the law domain. However, His Majesty God Emperor would never allow such a thing to happen. If they wantonly massacred people with grade 1 deity hearts, then the Bloodshed God Palace battle would be meaningless. For example, Donghua Shuang, Drunk Guest, and some other talented seedlings, in the eyes of His Majesty and the other almighty beings, had much more potential than Jiushi and the others. That's... Jiushi looked into the distance, and saw 3 young men in starry blue robes holding spears attacking a poisonous insect 7 mountains away. Donghua? The corner of Jiushi's mouth curled up. What a coincidence. Even though I've killed over 30 deity experts in the Bloodshed God Palace battle, none of them makes me happier than you, Donghua. Following that, Jiushi's figure disappeared without a trace. With his current realm, he was able to conceal himself stealthily. Only when he moved from one mountain to another would the invisible barrier force him to reveal himself. However, as long as he passed through the barrier, he would vanish without a trace. Stealthily, using the mountains to obstruct his line of sight and the laws of profound mysteries to distort his line of sight, Jiushi gradually approached. Being able to survive until now, Dongbush Shuang was naturally extremely careful. However, due to the invisible barrier set up by His Majesty, his mirage perception and spatial perception could only probe the range of one mountain at most. He was unable to penetrate into another mountain. As for further away, he could only rely on his eyes to see. Naturally, he failed to notice Jioshi's approach. Accompanied by an ear-piercing cry of unwillingness, the poisonous insect shattered and died. Another one down. Dongbush Shuang raised his head and glanced at the huge blood-colored board in the sky. Previously, he had fallen to the 17th position. After killing this poisonous insect, he rose to the 15th position. This was normal. Clearly, there was a group of people with strength comparable to Dongbush Shuang who were still alive and hunting poisonous insects. Amen? Dongbush Shuang abruptly turned his head to look. Far to his left, the edge of the mountain was still empty. However, Dongbush Shuang could clearly sense a figure there. It was a white-robed, white-haired, white-browed figure. When he passed through the edge, Jiushi could at most distort his line of sight. However, at Dongbush Shuang's level, just distorting his line of sight was impossible to hide under the laws of profound mysteries. Jiushi! Dongbush Shuang was shocked. This was the first time he met someone with a Grade 1 deity heart. These people who grasped a Grade 1 deity heart were far stronger than them. Thus, they could kill as they wished. Die! Jiushi was incomparably tyrannical. He was clear that he wouldn't be able to hide the moment he entered the edge of the mountain. With a wave of his hand, a huge golden palm condensed in midair. This golden palm directly pressed down on Dongbush Shuang's true body. Even if he hid in the mirage, it was useless against Jiushi. Shwa shwa shwa. The moment Dongbush Shuang discovered Jiushi, he instinctively transformed his body. 3 mirage bodies instantly appeared at 3 different edges of the mountain. When that golden palm pressed down on Dongbush Shuang's true body, his true body had already switched with the mirage bodies. Break! Jiushi frowned. A sharp light flashed in his eyes. Boom, boom, boom! Every corner of the mountain felt a terrifying pressure. Even though Dongbush Shuang's true body had already switched to a mirage body and was about to pass through the edge, the terrifying pressure had already descended upon him. But at this moment, that terrifying suppression had already descended. It covered every single area, no matter where Shuang could move his body. As long as he did not leave the region of the mountain, he would definitely be hit. Careful! Snow Eagle! The deities of the Xia people, Jingqiu, and the rest watched nervously. Because they could only see with their naked eyes, Jioshi's vision was distorted even when he passed through the edge. Thus, they were unable to discover Jioshi's figure. However, they had been paying attention to Dongbush Shuang. Thus, they also noticed the sudden appearance of that huge golden palm. Following that, the entire mountain began to crumble. Why would someone who grasps a Grade 1 deity heart resort to such a treacherous sneak attack? The White Sand City Lord was somewhat annoyed. It was one thing to casually kill a random person, but to resort to such a treacherous sneak attack, that was too much. The terrifying suppression caused every single location within the range of the mountain to be annihilated. Shui Ying's true body could only feel the terrifying energy crazily permeating into his body. It was frantically tearing at his body, wanting to tear it into pieces. His time immemorial body could feel pain all over his body, but his body was still intact. Clearly, he had withstood the pressure of the domain. I didn't die? I withstood it? Dongbush Shuang could not be bothered to think too much. He instantly charged past the edge of the mountain and entered the range of another mountain. So. He continued to flee, and in a single breath, he had already traversed tens of mountains. Even this didn't kill him? Jiushi revealed his true body. His white brows fluttered downwards, and a hint of anger could be seen in his eyes. At least he escaped fast enough. One must know. In the end, Jiushi had only grasped a grade 1 deity heart, and had yet to open an inner world to become a world deity. What he displayed was merely a domain formed from the laws of profound mysteries. It was a large-scale attack, so it was naturally weaker against a single target. Moreover, the time immemorial body excelled in survival. At the third level of the time immemorial body, even a true stage 1 world deity would at most be heavily injured by a world deity domain. Only a serious attack could kill such an opponent. Naturally, Jiushi would find it hard to succeed with just a law domain. Was there a need? With a grade 1 deity heart, he would definitely be ranked amongst the top. Was there a need to sneak attack me? Dongbu Shuang was somewhat annoyed. If not for the fact that I can't reveal my world deity heart for now, would I be afraid of you? A grade 1 deity heart was indeed a suppressive force against them. But in the Bloodshed God Palace battle, everyone descended with their consciousnesses. Even if they died in battle, only their consciousnesses would be expelled. Under such circumstances, the top few would definitely have grasped a grade 1 deity heart. Why bother with people like them who were risking their lives to fight for a higher ranking? Sneak attack? Forget it. A person who cultivated for 6 million years only to grasp a grade 1 deity heart is only SOSO. Dongbu Shuang was very clear that he would soon leave Jiushi in the dust. The Bloodshed God Palace battle was getting more and more desperate. Apart from those who grasped a grade 1 deity heart, the other deities were fighting with their lives on the line. Moreover, as the rate at which the venomous insects were born increased, the threat posed by the venomous insects increased as well. The rate at which deities were dying was also increasing. More than 1,500 have already died. There are only 300 or so left. I reckon that this is the final battle. The next battle will be even more interesting. Many of the spectating world deities understood what was about to happen. At the highest point of the Bloodshed God Palace, the Myriad Flower Feast, the Bloodshed God Emperor was seated high above. He smiled and said, "The Bloodshed God Palace battle has eliminated only 300 participants. It's about time we give them their deity weapons. Once we give them their deity weapons, the slaughter will be even faster." The other powerful existences were all watching the battle from afar. The Bloodshed God Emperor waved his hand, causing 30 blood-colored streams of light to fly out. They flew directly towards the distant chain of mountains. Star. Chapter 471. There were still 325 deities left in the mountain range. They all raised their heads and saw 30 dazzling streaks of blood-colored light descending upon different regions of the mountain range like meteors. The descent of the deity weapons! It's the deity weapons! Quick, quick, quick! This is our last chance. We must snatch the deity weapons! For a moment, all the deity experts were rushing toward the blood-colored stream of light closest to them. Even the 7 experts who had revealed their grade 1 deity hearts were doing their best to snatch it. Shuang also immediately entered the mirage and rushed toward a certain direction. The entire Bloodshed God Palace battle could be divided into 2 stages. The first stage was before the descent of the deity weapons. The second stage was the later stage. The places where the 30 bloody slaughter deity weapons landed are all at the bottom of the rankings. The White Sand City Lord raised his head and sighed. Master has truly put in a lot of effort to give those at the bottom a chance to struggle. What effort? Isn't it just to make the Bloodshed God Palace battle more interesting and unpredictable? King Ronghai laughed. Brother White Sand, you always flatter His Majesty when it comes to matters. Unfortunately, His Majesty has yet to allow you to return to his tutelage. The White Sand City Lord immediately said with a solemn expression. Of course I want to return to Master's tutelage. However, I have committed a grave mistake. I am already grateful that Master did not kill me. Furthermore, I am not flattering you. With Master's strength, there is no need for him to give these deity experts a chance to shine. Yet he still held a banquet and gave these deity experts a chance to soar into the sky and even enjoy the myriad flower true fruit. This is a gift. All right. Let's not talk about it anymore. Marshal Qin and the others stopped talking. As long as His Majesty Bloodblade was involved, the White Sand City Lord would never say no. He had always wanted to return to His Majesty's tutelage. Unfortunately, His Majesty had expelled him back then. How could he change his mind so easily? The deity weapons will land too far away from Dongbua. I'm afraid we won't be able to snatch them. The deities of the Xia people and Jingqiu watched nervously. Based on the previous Bloodshed God Palace battles, the Bloody Massacre deity weapons will always land near the weaker deity experts. The Purple Thunder Emperor said. This Bloody Slaughter God weapon was personally refined by His Majesty, and its power is extraordinary. Anyone who participates in the Bloodshed God Palace battle, including those with Grade 1 deity hearts, will definitely die if they are injured by this Bloody Slaughter God weapon. With this divine weapon, my strength will be different. Bloody Kill Divine Weapon. Although Dingbu Shuiying was rushing over at high speed, he was still too far away. There were 15 people who were closer to him, and all of them were traveling at an extremely fast speed. In just an instant, they had already passed through a tall mountain. Dongbu Shuiying could only watch on as a black-armored man stretched out his hand and grabbed a red round rock that was at the waist of the mountain. The moment he grabbed it, the red round rock rapidly transformed into a blood-colored longsword. Ha! The black-armored man was overjoyed as he held the blood-colored longsword. I've finally obtained it. With this Bloody Slaughter God weapon, I might be ranked in the top 500, but I still have hope of entering the top 100. He swept his gaze across his surroundings. 5 of the deity experts had already slowed down. Congratulations. I didn't expect you to be one step ahead of us. Let's go. The 5 deity experts turned and left. Because they were originally in the same team as the black-armored man, they had long since sworn an oath not to harm each other. Without that oath, how could they move together without worry? Now that the black-armored man had snatched the Bloody Slaughter God weapon, the 5 of them could only choose to leave. Kill. Surround and kill him. Snatch the Bloody Slaughter God weapon. The 5 turned and left, but the other deity experts quickly rushed over, wanting to snatch it. The black-armored man laughed coldly. Come at me if you're not afraid of death. With a single step, he teleported away, even passing through the edge of the mountain. With another step, he arrived beside a venomous bug. With a flash of his sword, the purple beetle's originally tough shell was immediately cut open. The black-armored man did not stop and quickly left. The purple beetle struggled in midair for a while, then directly fell down, completely dissipating as it returned to the mountain. With a single move, the purple beetle was killed. It could be said that with the Bloody Slaughter God weapon in hand, no one would dare to touch it with their body. I must snatch the Bloody Slaughter God weapon. Dongbu Shuiying rapidly closed in. The Bloody Slaughter God weapon is too powerful. Even the venomous bugs were killed with a single move. At this rate, I can easily enter the top 100. Although I'm currently ranked 16th, if I'm eliminated early, the rankings of the others will continue to rise, and they might even surpass me one by one. Without the Bloody Slaughter God weapon, it would be very difficult to maintain a top 100 ranking. As for snatching the Bloody Slaughter God weapon, even if he was surrounded and killed, his ranking would still be very high. Surround and attack. Go. Don't let him escape. The deities in front of him had already made their move. An azure chain streaked across the sky, followed by countless more azure chains, all of which wrapped around the fleeing black-armored man. The black-armored man's expression changed slightly. Your survival abilities are too weak. You won't be able to protect the Bloody Slaughter God weapon. Another majestic voice rang out, and black flying discs appeared in the surroundings. Countless black flying discs surrounded the black-armored man. Die! A purple beam of light instantly pierced through everything, arriving in front of the black-armored man. The Bloody Slaughter God weapon was indeed powerful. But at the very least, it had to touch the enemy's body. Currently, these deities were either using powerful techniques that they had come up with, or they were using their weapons from afar. None of them could get close. These pursuers all worked together to attack the black-armored man first. "You want to kill me?" The black-armored man growled savagely. His movement technique was erratic, and at the same time, the blood-colored blade in his hand suddenly expanded to over 5,000 kilometers in length. Shwa shwa shwa. This black-armored man's blade techniques were extremely powerful. For a moment, the surrounding area was filled with blood-colored blade lights, forcing the surrounding deities to evade and maintain their distance. The fact that the black-armored man was able to survive until now showed that his strength was not too far off from theirs. He also had a world deity secret technique, so even if he was struck by 2 or 3 moves, he would not immediately die. However, if the other deities were to be touched by this blood-colored blade, they would definitely die. While resisting, the black-armored man fled. He wanted to shake off the pursuing deities. Not good. The black-armored man suddenly saw a figure chasing after him. As the figure passed through the mountain, he could clearly see it. "It's the Kamsi Prefecture's Dongbua." That was because 5 deities had given up and left at the start. Thus, there were only 12 of them, including Dongbua Shuang, who were chasing after the black-armored man. Due to the distance, Dongbua Shuang and the rest were unable to catch up to him. Thus, there were only 7 of them. 7 deities surrounded the black-armored man, and none of them dared to engage in close combat. Instead, they attacked from afar, and they could only display 60 to 70% of their strength. And with the bloody slaughtered deity weapon wreaking havoc, all of them had to be extremely careful, so the amount of strength they could unleash was even less. In addition, this was the first time they had teamed up to attack, so they weren't able to coordinate perfectly. Naturally, they were unable to do anything to the black-armored man. Not good. The black-armored man tried his best to escape. Dongbua Shuang posed a much greater threat than the other 7. Although any one of the other 7 was comparable to Dongbua Shuang, none of them dared to get close to him. But Dongbua Shuang dared to do so. With his 3 mirage bodies, he had nothing to fear. Without the deity weapon, Dongbua Shuang posed a much greater threat. Unfortunately, the black-armored man wanted to escape, but the other 7 joined forces to obstruct him. Shwa shwa shwa. Dongbua Shuang was finally within the same mountain range as the black-armored man. With a thought, 3 starry blue-robe hues appeared beside the black-armored man. Pu pu pu. Blade lights and spear shadows flashed. The mirage bodies were not real bodies, and even if they were damaged, they could recover instantly. Dongbua Shuang was able to unleash his full strength perfectly. The 3 mirage bodies did not care about defense at all, and they attacked in a frenzy. In an instant, they suppressed the black-armored man, and a spear pierced through his abdomen. If not for Jiushi, Dongbua Shuang would have been number 1 in the Kamsi Prefecture. The black-armored man was the closest to the deity weapon. Evidently, the blood blade considered him to be the weakest. In the Kamsi Prefecture, the black-armored man was probably ranked 30th. Since the deity weapon was useless against the mirage bodies, he was naturally suppressed in a one-on-one fight. "We can't let Dongbua snatch it away from us." The other 7 deities were all anxious. They understood that the black-armored man would not be able to escape, but they had to stop Dongbua Shuang at all costs. After all, the moment Dongbua Shuang managed to snatch it, the threat he posed would be much higher than the black-armored man. At this time, there were still 4 deities closing in on him. "Let's join forces." The 4 deities transmitted their voices. They were clearly anxious as well. If Dongbua Shuang managed to snatch it away, it would be extremely difficult to snatch it back. Chapter 472. Alright, let's work together. Stop Dongbua of the Kamsi Prefecture. The 11 deity experts chose to work together without hesitation. Everyone could see that if they did not, Dongbua Shuang would be able to successfully snatch the bloody slaughter deity weapon. A green-haired woman dressed in a long robe looked at Dongbua Shuang from afar, her eyes emitting a cold green light. Her lips moved slightly. "Everyone, Donghwa's real body is over there! At the same time, sound waves began to sweep through the surroundings, converging at the center of which was Donghua Shuiying's real body hidden in the mirage. Eh? Donghua Shuiying felt an ear-piercing and uncomfortable sound drilling into his mind, causing it to buzz incessantly. A sound wave attack? There are so many experts in the Bloodshed God Palace battle, and the Mirage Deity Heart is famous for being good at assassination. Aside from not using the World Deity Heart, I've already pushed the Mirage Deity Heart's concealment to its limits, but I was still discovered. Although the sound waves were powerful, his time-immemorial body was much more resilient and could completely resist them. It did not affect his control over the 3 Mirage avatars. The 3 Mirage avatars disregarded their own safety and continued to attack. The black-armored man's abdomen was pierced by a spear, but his eyes were filled with anger and unwillingness. Being pierced by a spear was not life-threatening. If Donghua Shuiying really wanted to kill his opponent, he would probably need at least 10 or 20 spear strikes. But being pierced in the abdomen made him realize that he had no hope of keeping the bloody slaughter deity weapon. If he continued to resist, there would only be one ending for him: death and elimination. Donghua, if I can't get it, then don't even think about getting it! The black-armored man roared ferociously. With a sudden wave of his hand, the blood-colored saber in his hand pierced through space and appeared near the 6 deity experts thousands of kilometers away. Donghua Shuiying was stunned. Admirable! The 3 Donghua Shuiying glanced at the black-armored man before disappearing at the same time, reappearing thousands of kilometers away. There, the other 6 deity experts had already begun fighting over the weapon. Are you impressed? The black-armored man stood in midair. At this moment, no one was surrounding him. He sighed softly. What a pity that I met the Kamsi Prefecture's Dongbo. His mirage body isn't his true body, so he's not afraid of the bloody slaughter deity weapon at all. Swoosh! The black-armored man quickly retreated to the edge of the mountain and watched the battle from afar. He was waiting for an opportunity. If Donghua Shuiying died, he would still be able to continue fighting. Donghua Shuiying did not feel any hatred towards his opponents. Everyone was just trying to get into the top 100. Once they got into the top 100, they would definitely be taken in as a disciple by a powerful existence, and they would even be able to obtain a myriad flower true fruit. Since the black-armored man chose to give up, Donghua Shuiying naturally left him. Be careful of Donghua. We can't let him get it. The 6 deity realm experts, as well as the other 5 deity realm experts in the distance, all wanted to snatch the bloody massacre deity weapon, but they were wary of Donghua Shuiying. In terms of combat power, Donghua Shuiying was one of the best amongst them. His advantage wasn't so great that he could suppress him. It was just that his mirage body posed too much of a threat when it came to snatching the bloody massacre deity weapon. Humph! Donghua Shuiying gave it a try. One of the swordsmen was able to casually block the attacks of 2 of his mirage bodies with a single sword. There were also the other deity realm experts obstructing him, causing Donghua Shuiying to have no hope at all. They might be afraid of Donghua, but I'm not. As long as I can get my hands on the bloody massacre deity weapon, I'll be able to swiftly attack his true body. The green-robed lady was also attacking from afar, looking for an opportunity to snatch the bloody massacre deity weapon. Shwa shwa shwa. 3 starry blue-robed youths appeared at the same time. You! The green-robed lady was shocked. Since you were able to discover me, I'll send you out. The 3 Donghua Shuiying said with a smile. For a moment, their spears danced in the air as they attacked madly. The green-robed lady immediately tried to defend herself. However, against the 3 mirage bodies that didn't care about defense, she was instantly at a disadvantage. She hurriedly transmitted her voice to the others. Quick, help me block Donghua. Once I die, none of you will be able to discover Donghua's true body. At that time, he can easily conceal his true body and use his mirage body to deal with all of you. Other than the 2 deity realm experts who were using their spells to restrain Donghua Shuiying from afar, no one else came to stop them. It's useless. The bloody massacre deity weapon has already fallen into the hands of one person. They are all trying to snatch it. If they come over to restrain me, I'm afraid that the person who obtained the bloody massacre deity weapon will be able to escape. The three Dongwu Shuiyings said at the same time. At the same time, their spears pierced into the green-robed lady's shoulder. Although I'm a huge threat, they have to get rid of the expert who obtained the deity weapon first. Damn it! Damn it! The green-robed lady gritted her teeth in anger. Her shoulder exploded, and fresh blood splattered everywhere. She understood. Dongwu Shuiying's words were right. The bloody massacre deity weapon was too attractive. Everyone had to stop the person who obtained the deity weapon. Otherwise, once the person escaped, it would be hard to get it back. I admit defeat. I give up, the green-robed lady said anxiously. Pu, pung. A spear pierced into her chest, causing the heavily injured green-robed lady's body to explode. She immediately dissipated into nothingness. She had been eliminated. What a pity! I don't dare to believe you! The three Dongwu Shuiyings turned their heads at the same time. In the distance, the man wielding the blood-red scimitar was fighting with all his might. The other deity realm experts were also attacking and snatching the deity weapon. Not good! Dongwu has already killed Qinqing. The others were shocked. Earlier, they had planned to snatch the deity weapon and escape while Dongwu Shuiying and Qinqing were fighting. What a pity! You guys are slower than me. The three Dongwu Shuiyings laughed at the same time. Following which, they disappeared. When they reappeared, they were already beside the man wielding the blood-red scimitar. No matter how many weapons were attacking them, the three Dongwu Shuiyings only focused on attacking the man wielding the blood-red scimitar, ignoring all other weapons. The green-robed lady was already dead. But now, none of these opponents had discovered his true body. Since Dongwu Shuiying's safety was no longer threatened, he was naturally willing to risk everything to snatch the deity weapon. Damn it, damn it! The man wielding the blood-red scimitar was extremely anxious. He was already having a hard time holding on. Now that he was surrounded by three Dongwu Shuiyings, he was starting to get hit. I don't want it anymore. You guys go snatch it. He immediately threw the blood-red scimitar in his hand. South! The three Dongwu Shuiyings followed suit. Two of the Dongwu Shuiyings blocked the other deity experts, while the last Dongwu Shuiying's right hand reached out and grabbed the blood-red scimitar. The black-armored man was proficient in spatial techniques. He was able to throw the blood-red scimitar far away in an instant, and its trajectory was hard to track. However, this man wielding the scimitar was clearly weaker, allowing Dongwu Shuiying to lock onto its trajectory. Ha! As he grabbed the blood-red scimitar, he could immediately feel the terrifying power contained within it. This was a deity weapon personally forged by His Majesty. Even though it was of a lower quality, even a stage 1 world deity would die from a slight scratch. In Dongwu Shuiying's hands, the blood-red scimitar immediately transformed into a blood-red spear. The three Dongwu Shuiyings laughed out loud, each of them wielding a blood-red spear. 3 blood-red spears. For a moment, the other 10 deity experts could not tell which one was the real bloody-killed deity weapon. Clearly, the Mirage deity heart had reached such a level that its ability to disguise itself was extremely high. Those who block me die. The 3 Dongwu Shuiyings looked around. The 10 deity experts looked at each other. Almost instantly, they began to scatter and escape without hesitation. Dongwu, consider yourself lucky. Ruthless. Admirable. The black-armored man, who had been waiting for an opportunity, shook his head when he saw Dongwu Shuiying obtain the bloody-killed deity weapon. Without hesitation, he turned and rushed out of the mountain, leaving quickly. Now, no one could find Dongwu Shuiying's real body. How could he fight against the 3 mirage bodies wielding the bloody-killed deity weapon? They could not tell which one was the real bloody-killed deity weapon. The mirage bodies did not need any defense. How could they fight? If they continued fighting, they would only be defeated by Dongwu Shuiying one by one. The chances of them snatching the deity weapon was very slim. The battle was intense. On Donghua Shui Ying's side, because Donghua had a mirage body, and the other side could not find Donghua Shui Ying's real body, they retreated in the face of overwhelming odds. On the other hand, the other side was in a much more desperate situation. When one died, everyone would surround and attack the other who had obtained the bloody killed deity weapon. In the end, only one managed to escape. Just fighting for the bloody killed deity weapon, over 80 deity experts had lost their lives in the mountain range. "We got the bloody killed deity weapon! Donghua, well done!" The Xia people, as well as Jing Qiu, raised their heads in excitement. "TSK, TSK, TSK. My brother Donghua is really amazing. The more dazzling he is, and the younger he is, the more powerful existences will take notice of him." The White Sand City Lord drank his wine and praised. "When the time comes, there will be more powerful existences willing to take him as a disciple. I really wonder which powerful existence my brother will take him as after the Bloodshed God Palace battle is over." Chapter 473. On the Myriad Flower Feast, the powerful existences were exchanging toasts and chatting while watching the Bloodshed God Palace battle. "This kid named Donghua only cultivated for 2,300 years or so, yet he already has such strength. If I give him some pointers, he will definitely be able to attain a grade 1 deity heart within 10,000 years. Moreover, even a fool would know how many grade 2 deity hearts he is proficient in. I can guide him to grasp the 4 grade 1 deity hearts of world, chaos, extremity, and space-time." A tall and sturdy almighty with a huge head was beaming with joy as he watched. Furthermore, from the intelligence reports, his growth in his hometown, the Xia people's world, shows that he really values friendship and righteousness. I, the old ancestor, like this kind of disciple who values friendship and righteousness. Where else can I find such a good disciple? I have to think of a way to get my hands on him. This powerful being's name was Fierce Tyrant, but he was usually addressed as Forefather Fierce Tyrant. His background was not ordinary, and in terms of foundation, he was much stronger than Chihua Laozu and Sacred Master Crimson Dust. Since Forefather Fierce Tyrant was a being from the Divine World, he was also one of the Fierce Five of the Divine World. One had to know that the leader of the 5 Banes of the Immortal World was one of the 3 Patriarchs, Pang Yi. The 5 Banes of the Immortal World took good care of one another. Besides that, Forefather Fierce Tyrant was rumored to have the worst comprehension ability of the Fierce Five. Back when he was a Stage 4 world deity, he had been captured by one of the 3 ancestors, the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master, and used as a mount. The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master had also imparted him a secret technique and guided him in his cultivation. Under the guidance of the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master, Forefather Fierce Tyrant had actually become an almighty expert. As a result, Forefather Fierce Tyrant had a strong backing. He was one of the 5 fierce beasts of the Divine World, and he was also the mount of the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master. Moreover, Forefather Fierce Tyrant was famous for his shielding of his disciples. Normally, almighty existences would allow their disciples to fight outside. Even if they died, they could only blame it on their own incompetence. However, Forefather Fierce Tyrant was too protective of his disciples, so when others heard that he was Forefather Fierce Tyrant's personal disciple, no one dared to provoke him. Because Forefather Fierce Tyrant would not care about his reputation and stand up for his personal disciple. However, it was precisely because Forefather Fierce Tyrant was overly protective of his disciples that he ended up becoming Stage 3 world deities despite having 5 personal disciples. There wasn't even a single Stage 4 world deity. With his reputation, Forefather Fierce Tyrant looked down on those with weaker talents. Those with extremely high innate talents would usually become the disciples of other powerful existences. Very few would choose to become the disciple of Forefather Fierce Tyrant because there was a rumor going around in the outside world. This Forefather Fierce Tyrant is too bad at teaching disciples. He hasn't even produced a Stage 4 world deity. Back then, he became an almighty because of the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master's guidance. Otherwise, it would have been very difficult for him to become an almighty. Such a good disciple, I must get my hands on him. Forefather Fierce Tyrant stared at Dongbush Shuang. Except for Forefather Fierce Tyrant, there were still quite a few who had their eyes on Dongbush Shuang. These powerful existences were all very sharp, and they could all see through Dongbush Shuang's potential. This was a good disciple who could become a Stage 3 world deity with just a bit of nurturing, and even had a chance of becoming a Stage 4 world deity. Manor Lord, Manor Lord! Forefather Fierce Tyrant started chatting with a man beside him. This man was dressed in a luxurious purple robe, and he was rather handsome. His eyes were long and narrow, and his gaze was as sharp as a blade. There was a faint crack in the center of his forehead, which contained a faint golden light. He looked at Forefather Fierce Tyrant and asked, Fierce Tyrant, what's the matter? He, Manor Lord. Forefather Fierce Tyrant immediately said, Does Manor Lord intend to accept a disciple in this bloodshed God Palace battle? I have no such plans. The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master's long and narrow eyes looked at Forefather Fierce Tyrant. To me, accepting a disciple is meaningless. If I can take that step, I will be able to fight against God Emperor. If I can't, I will only stop here. As for accepting a disciple, it's completely useless. Forefather Fierce Tyrant nodded repeatedly. He had once served as a mount for the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master, so he was very clear about how arrogant and domineering the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master was. The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master was not very enthusiastic about teaching disciples, and he would only accept one if he found one pleasing to the eye. Even if Manor Lord doesn't want to accept a disciple, I do intend to. I fancy a little fellow, and I really want to take him as a disciple. I feel that I can teach him to become a Stage 4 world deity. Forefather Fierce Tyrant said. You want to accept a disciple, but you came to me instead? The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master looked at him, the corner of his mouth curling up. What's the matter? Just say it. Forefather Fierce Tyrant laughed mischievously. The Prefecture Master is indeed the Prefecture Master. You should know that my reputation as a disciple isn't too good. Up until now, I haven't even managed to teach a Stage 4 world deity. There are definitely quite a few people who want to take Dongbush Shuang as a disciple. Even if I'm willing to accept him, it's very likely that he'll end up becoming a disciple of some other powerful existence. That's why I'm hoping for the Prefecture Master to help me out. If he becomes my personal disciple, he'll be considered your disciple, right? At that time, I hope that Manor Lord will nod and give this little fellow the opportunity to enter your violet bamboo sea to cultivate. The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master looked at him. Forefather Fierce Tyrant gave a simple and honest smile. No matter what, you are an almighty. How can you be so shameless? The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master shook his head lightly. Forefather Fierce Tyrant was one of the 5 fierce beasts of the immortal world. Naturally, he was more tyrannical and ruthless than the average almighty existence. However, his temper was better than most almighty existences. Manor Master, it's rare for me to see such a good disciple. Forefather Fierce Tyrant hastily said. All right, I promise you. Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master nodded lightly. Ha ha. Thank you, Manor Lord. Thank you, Manor Lord. With Manor Lord's words, I have confidence in this disciple. Forefather Fierce Tyrant was filled with anticipation. The Bamboo Mountain Manor Master said, If His Majesty, the Overlord of Destruction, or Pangyi were to ask, I'm afraid you wouldn't be able to snatch this disciple. If they speak, then I have nothing to say. Forefather Fierce Tyrant said confidently, Let's not talk about His Majesty. Even if it were an absolute transcendent with a grade 1 true meaning, His Majesty would be too lazy to accept him. Not to mention Big Brother Pangyi. Let him teach? Back then, he had taken in 108 disciples in one go. Since then, after a long time, he had only taken in 2 disciples. It was very difficult for him to take in any more disciples. The Overlord of Destruction also hasn't accepted a disciple for many years. Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master nodded. The 3 ancestors placed more importance on their own cultivation. The stronger they were, the less they cared about taking in disciples. After all, Their own bodies were the foundation. Only occasionally, when they met a junior they liked, would they be willing to give them a few pointers. For instance, the leader of the Fierce Five, Pang Yi, had once taken in 108 disciples in one go after comprehending a certain secret technique. Furthermore, he had taught them all seriously. Under normal circumstances, the chances of them taking in disciples were very low. On the contrary, ordinary powerful existences were more willing to take in disciples. The powerful existences were watching from afar. The Bloodshed God Palace battle was still going on intensely. The descent of the bloody slaughter deity warriors had increased the intensity of the battle. Some deity experts could easily die in the battle. After all, the bloody slaughter deity warriors were too frightening. 150, 120, 180, amidst the mountain range, the number of deity experts remaining was decreasing rapidly. The reason for this decrease was due to the slaughter. The other reason was the rate at which venomous insects were being born. Venomous insects were already very powerful, and killing one was not an easy task. Those without the bloody slaughter deity warriors could easily lose their lives if they were surrounded by 2 or 3 venomous insects. However, it was different for those with the bloody slaughter deity warriors. The more venomous insects they produced, the faster they could kill. They could kill venomous insects in a single move. Other than the 7 with grade 1 deity hearts, there were a few others who were also quite dazzling. One of them was Dongbu Shui Ying. Dongbu Shui Ying's mirage secret skill was truly heaven-defying to be able to summon 3 mirage bodies. This was a supportive secret skill. In terms of offense, Dongbu Shui Ying was originally somewhat lacking. His offensive power was even weaker than drunk guests. However, with the bloody slaughter deity warriors, Dongbu Shui Ying's weakness in offense was immediately made up for. The mirage bodies were also immortal. The mirage bodies and the bloody slaughter deity warriors were a perfect match. Especially when the 3 mirage bodies each held a blood-colored divine spear, making it hard for enemies to distinguish the real from the fake. Currently, there are only 75 people still fighting in the mountain range, and I'm currently ranked 11th. Dongbu Shui Ying was in a relaxed mood. In other words, I'll definitely be able to enter the top 100. Amen? Dongbu Shui Ying's expression suddenly changed. Suddenly, 3 figures appeared from the edge of the mountain range. All 3 of them were wielding the bloody slaughter deity warriors. It's the 3 of them? Dongbu Shui Ying was very clear about the rankings of these 3 experts. They were ranked 9th, 15th, and 18th respectively. In terms of direct combat strength, any one of them was not any weaker than him. Logically speaking, the 3 of them would definitely be able to enter the top 100 as well. Why would they surround and attack him? Among the 3 of them, an ugly man wielding a blood-colored curved blade coldly said, "Comsi Prefecture's Dongbu, it's rare for a brat like you who has only cultivated for 2,000 years to have such strength. However, I'll let you know that you're still far from being able to kill me in a direct confrontation. You have 2 choices now. The first is to flee and be surrounded by us. The second is to fight me one-on-one. My 2 companions won't attack you for the time being." Chapter 474. Hua. White fog surrounded the mountain, and at the center of the 3 Dongbu Shui Yings, another Dongbu Shui Ying appeared. The 4 of them looked at the ugly man wielding a blood-colored scimitar and softly said, "Wanjiu of the Milky Way Prefecture." "That's me." The corner of the ugly man's mouth curled up. Wanjiu was the champion of the Milky Way Prefecture ranking battle and survival battle among the 19 prefectures of the Bloodshed God Palace. "In a duel, regardless of who dies, my 2 companions will not act again," the ugly man said, his eyes filled with anticipation. His eyes were filled with anticipation. He was currently ranked 9th in the Bloodshed God Palace battle, and there were only 70 or so deities still alive. It was without a doubt that he would be ranked in the top 100, but there were only 23 powerful existences in the Bloodshed God Palace, including His Majesty and the 3 ancestors. Even if these powerful existences took the initiative to accept disciples, they would only take 8 to 10 of them. What about the others? As long as they were ranked in the top 100, even if they were not taken as disciples, His Majesty would order the powerful existences to assign 4 or 5 disciples to 5 or 6 of them. The deity experts who were assigned would usually not receive much attention from the powerful existences. They would only be taught a little, and only when the powerful existences truly liked them would they be more diligent in teaching them. Whether they were diligent or not would make a huge difference. Thus, Wanjiu had long since decided that he would first secure a spot in the top 100, then make himself as dazzling as possible so that the powerful existences would notice him. Thus, he began to carry out his plan. First, he had successfully seized the bloody slaughter deity weapon, and his ranking was also at the top. He had even seized a second bloody slaughter deity weapon with his own strength and gifted it to a deity expert who was on par with him. He then instructed, "I'll give you the bloody slaughter deity weapon and help you get into the top 100. However, you'll have to listen to my commands in the Bloodshed God Palace battle." The other party did not have a deity weapon and was not confident of entering the top 100, so he naturally nodded. Thus, Wanjiu relied on this method to get 2 deity experts to follow him. These 2 were currently ranked 15th and 18th. Both were guaranteed to enter the top 100. I've relied on my own strength to help other deities enter the top 100. I'm afraid I've already attracted the attention of some powerful existences. Wanjiu was secretly looking forward to it. But this isn't enough. I still have to fight one-on-one and kill the God-tier expert who attracts the most attention from the Almighties. This way, more Almighties will pay attention to me. Who was the most attractive to powerful beings? Wanjiu chose Dongbu Shuang and said, "This Dongbu's strength is close to mine, and he is too young. He has only cultivated for 2,000 years. In this Bloodshed God Palace battle, the degree to which he attracted the attention of powerful existences is probably one of the best. Moreover, I have confidence in dealing with him. He's the one." Therefore, Wanjiu chose Dongbu Shuang and surrounded Dongbu Shuang with his 2 companions. The other 2 did not need to participate in the battle. After all, surrounding and killing Dongbu Shuang would not reveal his true strength. The other 2 were there to intimidate Dongbu Shuang, so that Dongbu Shuang would not dare to run away. If he did, he would be surrounded and attacked. The 2 companions he chose were people whose strength was close to his own. It was just that they were unlucky and did not manage to obtain a bloody slaughter deity weapon. He felt that with the 3 of them surrounding Dongbu Shuang would make a wise decision. One-on-one? The 4 Dongbu Shuang looked at Wanjiu. "You and I, we will fight to the death?" "Yes." Wanjiu's eyes were cold. "As you wish," the 4 Dongbu Shuang said at the same time. "Come." As expected of the Kamsi Prefecture's Dongbu. What courage! Wanjiu was inwardly delighted. He was afraid that Dongbu Shuang would run away. If that happened, the 3 of them would be able to surround and kill Dongbu Shuang, but he could not reveal any of his abilities. Wanjiu stood in the distance. Suddenly his figure blurred and split into 2. 2 Wanjiu stood side by side, each holding a pair of blood-red curved blades. "Mirage Deity Heart," Dongbu Shuang said with a smile. "My mastery of the Mirage Deity Heart is not as good as yours, so I can only form a mirage body." The 2 Wanjiu spoke at the same time. "But can you tell which one is the real one? Which one of these 4 curved blades is the real bloody slaughter deity weapon?" As soon as he finished speaking, the world around him began to distort as a formless energy filled the entire mountain. Whoosh! Whoosh! The 2 Wanjiu charged at him at the same time. The 4 Shuiyings charged forward at the same time. It's just that under the unseen quagmire, their speed had slowed down. This Dongbu Shuang is most proficient in mirage secret techniques. Secondly, he has the star deity heart and some other techniques, but in front of my domain, his speed is greatly reduced. Even the 4 of them combined might not be able to defeat me. Wanjiu was brimming with confidence. The 2 of them began to fight. Everything went according to Wanjiu's wishes. Because Dongbu Shuang had already attracted the attention of some powerful existences, Their battle also attracted the attention of some powerful existences. Chapter 475. Boom, boom, boom. Both of them fought even more ferociously. Dongbush Shuang occasionally managed to stab Wanjiu with his spear, but those were only his mirage bodies. Clearly, Wanjiu had purposely allowed Dongbush Shuang to stab him. Pooh! The spear was like a venomous snake, retracting after a stab. The two Wanjiu clones stopped immediately, and one of them dissipated. Only Wanjiu was left standing in midair. His eyes were filled with disbelief as he stared at Dongbush Shuang. How could you? Your saber art is not perfect enough, right? My luck is better than yours, Dongbush Shuang said. Wanjiu's eyes were filled with unwillingness. Not perfect enough? Better luck? That's right. After all, he had yet to grasp the true world deity heart. Although his saber art was said to be a world of its own, it had yet to reach this stage. Just a little bit more, just a little bit more. Wanjiu was frustrated. If he could defeat Dongbush Shuang one-on-one, that would be the best outcome. Although he would attract the attention of some powerful beings, this battle was probably just a stepping stone for Dongbush Shuang. Then, Wanjiu's body dissipated. His consciousness returned to him. When the other two companions saw this scene, they shook their heads inwardly. Brother Wanjiu thought that he could win. Unfortunately, he almost lost. Dongbush Shuang's 4 bodies gave it his all, and he finally had a chance to win. The two companions left immediately. They were only here to abide by the oath. Dongbush Shuang shook his head and smiled as he watched the two leave. This Wanjiu is really powerful. But he doesn't know that I have already grasped the complete world deity heart, and have created many secret skills based on the world deity heart. My understanding of the world deity heart is many times more profound than his. Shuang sighed inwardly. I can see through the flaws of his so-called world of blade technique with a single glance. It's just that I've always been looking for an opportunity, a reasonable opportunity to break this blade technique. Shuang sighed inwardly. Let the mirage body go all out and attack head-on to destroy the opponent's saber technique. Then, when there's an opportunity, stab with your spear. The Lord of White Sand City raised his head to look at the illusionary image of the majestic mountains in the sky. We really won. Dongbush Shuang might have discovered some flaws in his opponent's saber technique during the life and death battle. If you can win, you will be able to prove your strength. The Ink Cloud City Lord praised. Dongbush Shuang would not admit defeat so easily. Wanjiu wanted to shine even brighter. He wanted a powerful being to take him in as a disciple. Dongbush Shuang also had his own goals. He wanted His Majesty or the third ancestor to accept him as a disciple. Naturally, he could not be defeated so easily. Who? Dongbush Shuang walked through the mountain range. With a single step, he activated extreme travel and killed a venomous bug. With each kill, Dongbush Shuang's ranking rose. He even rose to the 9th rank, and occasionally, he would even reach the 8th rank. However, the other surviving deity experts were also very powerful. Even so, Dongbush Shuang was still hovering around the 8th to 10th rank. The number of deity experts in the mountain range decreased. 50. Dongbush Shuang's expression changed. This was because he could sense a figure stealthily sneaking past the barrier of the distant mountain. Even though he had turned his line of sight, Shuang could still clearly see the other party's appearance with his mirage domain. White robes, white hair, and fluttering white eyebrows, it was Jiushi. It's you again! Without hesitation, Dongbush Shuang switched to his mirage body and fled. Suppress! Shatter! As Jiushi chased after him, he also used his domain-type technique. But the time-immemorial body's survivability was too powerful. Even though it was only at the 3rd level, it was not something Jiushi could crush to death with a single domain-type technique. So. Dongbush Shuang frantically fled. He had never thought of displaying his grade 1 deity heart in the Bloodshed God Palace battle. The moment he did so, the enemy of his master, Sacred Master Crimson Dust, would likely disregard his reputation and attack him. After all, grasping a grade 1 deity heart in just 2,300 years, this was the talent of a grade 1 true meaning transcendent. Thus, he would rather die than expose himself. By the time he became a stage 2 world deity, there wouldn't be much of a problem. At that time, only Bloodblade, the Temporal Island Lord, and a few others could kill him without the help of an oath. Existences at such a level would disdain to act. By the time he became a stage 3 world deity, even God Emperor and the others wouldn't be able to kill a lord of a material world. Thus, he needed to be patient. Only with sufficient patience would he be able to shine brilliantly in the future. Jiushi, is there really a need for you to chase after me like this? Dongbua Shuang was speechless. He continued to pass through mountain after mountain. Shua. Just as he passed through the barrier of a mountain, a white-haired fat old man appeared. Xiao. A dazzling ray of light streaked across Dongbua Shuiying's body. This is a grade 1 deity heart. Dongbua Shuiying's eyes widened as he stared at the white-haired fat old man. This fat old man was the champion of the 9 rigid manners ranking battle, Monarch Yu. It was said that his original title was Emperor Yu, but in the deity world, those who dared to call themselves emperors were all extraordinary existences. Thus, he immediately changed his title to Monarch Yu. Monarch was more reserved than emperors. I haven't been in a rush to use it, but now it's time to do so. I've chosen you, Dongbua. The fat old man smiled. Clearly, if he wanted to kill someone, he would kill the one who attracted the attention of the powerful existences the most. Dongbua Shuiying's body dissipated, and his consciousness returned. South Jiushi chased after him. Looking at the fat old man, he sneered. I really didn't expect you to also have a grade 1 deity heart. If not for Dongbua, you would have probably been hiding your strength in the Calm Sea Prefecture. With a flip of his hand, the fat old man took out a blood-colored dagger and smiled sinisterly. How about it? Why don't we have a spar? Then let's see how strong you are. Jiushi's eyes were filled with killing intent. Dongbua Shuiying's consciousness returned. By the time he returned to the outermost region of the myriad flower feast, almost all of the 1,000+ deities had returned. Only 30 or so deities were still fighting. Brother Dongbua, I didn't expect that you would actually be ambushed by someone with a grade 1 deity heart. 7th Meiyu, who was standing not too far away, laughed. That's right. That Lord Yu is truly sinister. He should have long since discovered that Jiushi was chasing after me, so he waited for a long time, and ambushed me the moment I passed through the mountain barrier. Dongbua Shuiying shook his head helplessly. He was too young, and he had attracted the attention of many powerful existences. Many of them wanted to kill him in order to attract their attention. They had only exchanged a few words. Because they were both from the Calm Sea Prefecture, Jiushi, who was seated very close to him, also regained consciousness. Jiushi, you actually lost? Dongbua Shuiying intentionally said. Humph. Jiushi's face turned ashen. He had fought against Lord Yu one-on-one, and yet he had lost. He had a boundless deity heart, so logically speaking, the chances of him losing should be very low. However, in a battle, he still had to use it. What a sinister old man. Jiushi fiercely glared at the deity experts still fighting amidst the mountain range. Lord Yu was one of them. Suddenly, a world deity guard of the Bloodshed God Palace walked over from afar, immediately attracting the attention of a large group of deity experts. This was because a world deity guard walking over at this moment would usually come to present a token. A powerful existence would take the initiative to bestow a token to a deity expert, and it represented that the powerful existence was willing to accept a disciple. This was taking the initiative to accept a disciple, which was extremely rare. The number of myriad flower feasts that could make a powerful existence take the initiative to accept a disciple could be counted on one's fingers. Who's it for? He's walking over here towards me. Many deity experts were nervously watching. They were all longing for a disciple, and even those ranked outside the top 100 were longing for one. After all, even if one was ranked near the bottom, if a powerful existence took the initiative to accept a disciple, one would still be able to become a disciple. Take Dongbu Shuang for example. He had only cultivated for 2,000 years, and the White Sand City Lord and the others had already said that as long as one participated in the Bloodshed God Palace battle, even if one wasn't ranked within the top 100, one would definitely be chosen as a disciple. Dongbu. The dark-skinned world deity guard smiled and handed a golden token to Dongbu Shuang. Chapter 477. The world deity guard handed over the command token and left, leaving the other 1,000 or so deities watching helplessly. Becoming a disciple of a powerful existence? That was difficult. Even if one could participate in the Bloodshed God Palace battle and become a Stage 1 world deity in the future, even powerful existences would look down on such a person. The powerful existences of the Bloodshed God Palace would be assigned a few disciples each time they participated in the Myriad Flower Feast. These disciples were not actively accepted as disciples, and the disciples they were assigned to would not be too serious about teaching them. They would just casually give them a few pointers, 2 or 3 world deity rank secret techniques, 1 or 2 treasures, and that would be it. Even so, the majority of deities could not hope for such a thing. That was why Sacred Master Crimson Dust was willing to open the doors to countless deities and demigods to challenge Crimson Rock Mountain. After passing the trials, they would become honorary disciples and obtain world deity rank secret techniques. This was definitely a very benevolent act. Brother Dongbu, congratulations, 7th Mayu said from the side. However, there was a hidden desire in his eyes. He, too, wanted to receive the command token. His luck had been bad, and he had not even entered the top 100. Humph. The other Jiushi snorted coldly. Dongbu Shuang looked at Jiushi and inwardly muttered, this cultivation strength has nothing to do with one's personality. This narrow-minded person who seeks revenge for the smallest grievance has actually cultivated the boundless deity heart. Cultivation was about comprehending the laws of the world. The laws of the world were dark, cruel, and destructive. Perhaps those with evil personalities were more suited to comprehend them? 1. Dongbu Shuang held the golden command token and sent his consciousness into it. He immediately received a message. I, Gu Zong, am willing to accept you as my personal disciple. That was the message. Dongbu Shuang let out a sigh of relief inwardly. At least there was a powerful existence willing to accept him as a personal disciple. Dongbu, who is it? 7th Mayu asked curiously. It's the powerful existence Gu Zong, Dongbu Shuang replied. Monarch Gu Zong? He is the most beloved disciple of His Majesty God Emperor. 7th Mayu exclaimed. Monarch Gu Zong is the most low-profile powerful existence within the Bloodshed God Palace. However, he is one of the 2 disciples of His Majesty, and His Majesty will naturally focus on grooming him. According to what my father said, the few times he has acted, he is extremely formidable. His combat power is hard to fathom, and he might even be close to the 3 ancestors. Dongbu Shuang nodded. Monarch Gu Zong was the personal disciple of His Majesty Bloodblade. However, Monarch Gu Zong had a problem. He was too low-key. He had been described by 7th Mayu as the most low-profile member of the Bloodshed God Palace, and it was no exaggeration. Ever since he had become a powerful existence, he had become even more low-profile, and had never left the territory of the Bloodshed God Palace. He had practically been cultivating in his territory all this time. Monarch Gu Zong has become a powerful existence for more than 100 billion years. Occasionally, he would appear within the territory of the Bloodshed God Palace. Most of the time, he would remain in his territory cultivating. Dongbu Shuang mumbled inwardly, is it appropriate for him to choose such a teacher? Many deities were eliminated in the Bloodshed God Palace battle. As the number of remaining deities decreased, the number of venomous insects that were born rapidly increased. Currently, 8 to 10 venomous insects would move together, and occasionally, dozens of them would move together. Even with bloody slaughter deity weapons, it was easy for them to lose their lives. Very soon, only 5 deities with grade 1 deity hearts were left. Those with grade 1 deity hearts would also fight and eliminate each other. This was because the number of people remaining was decreasing. The powerful existences were also gradually giving out command talismans. Donghwa's bloodshed god palace battle has ended. I've heard that the powerful existences will take the initiative to accept disciples. I wonder who Donghwa will take as his disciple, the Purple Thunder Emperor said amidst the many deities of the Xia people. Regardless of who it is, it will be a disciple of a powerful existence, the slightly dispirited Scarlet Flame Emperor said. Powerful existences are different from other powerful existences. Can ordinary powerful existences compare to His Majesty? The Dragon Mountain Emperor said expectantly. In my opinion, His Majesty might take Donghwa as his disciple. His Majesty is the strongest expert in the deity world. Even those two from the Temporal Island and the Pantheon Palace are slightly weaker than His Majesty. This is publicly acknowledged. At His Majesty's level of invincibility, would he still care about teaching a disciple? Yunhai shook his head. If His Majesty takes in a disciple, then it's luck. If he doesn't, then it's normal. Let's just hope that some other powerful existence will take Donghwa as a disciple. Jingqiu also raised her head and watched silently. Her lips curled into a smile. In this bloodshed god palace battle, Donghwa was already very outstanding and dazzling. Even though his ranking had fallen out of the top 10, his years of cultivation made him even more attractive to powerful existences than those with grade 1 deity hearts. There are only a few people with grade 1 deity hearts left in the bloodshed god palace battle. Donghwa's final ranking is 11th. The White Sands City Lord smiled as he stroked his beard. 8 of them have grasped grade 1 deity hearts. This ranking is already very good. TSK, I wonder who Donghwa will take as his disciple this time. It would be great if he could become the disciple of one of the 3 ancestors. The Ink Cloud City Lord, Marshal Qin, and King Ronghai, who were drinking with them, all smiled as they looked at the majestic main palace in the distance. 3 ancestors? That's hard to say, the Ink Cloud City Lord said. With Pang Yi's personality, it's hard for him to take in disciples. The Overlord of Destruction has a long lifespan, and he has 5 powerful existences among his disciples. He is also too lazy to take in disciples. The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master has a proud and aloof personality, so he rarely takes in disciples, Marshal Qin commented. King Ronghai laughed. At the level of the 3 ancestors, how many of them would still care about taking in disciples? The stronger one was, the more they would not care about taking in disciples. If they were in a good mood, they would accept disciples. But if they were in a bad mood? Even if you were a grade 1 true meaning transcendent, I would still be too lazy to accept you. So what if you were a grade 1 true meaning transcendent? There was a high probability of becoming a stage 4 world deity. Let alone a stage 4 world deity, even if one was extremely lucky and had a small probability of becoming a powerful existence, the 3 ancestors wouldn't care too much about it. So what if they had another powerful existence as their disciple? They placed more importance on their own combat power, as improving their own combat power would be more helpful than teaching a powerful existence as a disciple. I've heard from some of my old brothers that 3 powerful existences have already bestowed command tokens to Donghwa. The White Sand City Lord was quite pleased with himself. At the highest point of the Bloodshed God Palace, the Myriad Flower Feast was still ongoing. As the Bloodshed God Palace battle neared its end, aside from a large number of venomous insects, there were even venomous insects comparable to Stage 1 world deities. The 5 remaining deities who had grasped Grade 1 deity hearts had also died in battle. And now, powerful existences were bestowing command tokens one after another. Donghwa Shuiying was still quite popular among powerful existences, and he had already received 3 command tokens. 7th Meiyu. A world deity guard walked to 7th Meiyu's side under the fiery gazes of the 1,900 deities and handed him a command token. Mine? 7th Meiyu could not believe it. She had cultivated for only a short period of 80,000 years. However, she could only be considered relatively young in the Bloodshed God Palace battle. Her ranking during the battle was only 159th. Even though she was relatively close to the top, she had still awkwardly failed to enter the top 100. Including Dongbua, there were only a total of 6 deities who had received a command token. 7th Meiyu himself could not believe that he had actually been bestowed a command token. The World Deity Guard left after handing over the command token. 7th Meiyu could not hide his excitement as he began to investigate the news. His father, Monarch Mo Shui, had hoped for him to become a disciple of a powerful existence, and now, it had actually come true. "Brother Meiyu, congratulations!" Dongbua Shuang transmitted. 7th Meiyu was truly pleasantly surprised. He looked at Dongbua Shuang beside him, his eyes filled with joy as he transmitted back. "It's the powerful existence, Monarch Mother Whirlpool. Formidable!" Dongbua Shuang praised. Monarch Mother Whirlpool was a female. Her sister, the mysterious North Imperial Empress, was comparable to the 3 ancestors, and was famous for being overbearing and ruthless. Their most famous battle was during the treasure hunt on the Moon Star, where the mysterious North Imperial Empress had once fought against 9 powerful existences in a fit of rage. The 9 powerful existences were brimming with confidence even after working together, but who would have thought that the mysterious North Imperial Empress had comprehended a killing technique that made her least afraid of being surrounded? The moment she unleashed it, she killed 3 powerful existences and forced the other 6 to flee in panic. From then on, the mysterious North Imperial Empress became famous, and nobody dared to provoke her. Like the majority of powerful existences, the mysterious North Imperial Empress was free and unfettered. She had not pledged allegiance to the Bloodshed God Palace, Myriad God Palace, or the Temporal Island. Furthermore, Monarch Mother Whirlpool and the mysterious North Imperial Empress were blood-related sisters, and their relationship was extremely deep. Whoever dared to provoke her sister would definitely be killed by the mysterious North Imperial Empress. This Monarch Mother Whirlpool was similarly protective of her own, and all her disciples were female. Taking her as a teacher. Normally, powerful existences would not care about their disciples fighting and killing outside. If they died, they could only blame themselves for being too weak. After all, without experiencing true life and death tempering, how could their disciples grow? And there were a few powerful existences who were very protective of their disciples. My disciple can bully others. Others can bully my disciple, but that's not allowed. Humph. Seated not too far away from Dongbua Shuang and 7th Meiyu, Jiushi could not help but feel even more resentful when he saw the 2 of them receiving a command token. He was a deity expert who grasped hold of a grade 1 deity heart, yet no powerful existences had bestowed him with a command token. Star. Chapter 478. Dongbua 7th Meiyu? Why didn't she accept me as a disciple? Jiushi felt even more resentful and unreconciled. At this time, 7th Meiyu transmitted a message to Dongbua Shuang. "Brother Dongbua, I'm ashamed that I never told you that I'm actually disguised as a male." "Ha ha, no wonder. Monarch Mother Whirlpool has always accepted female disciples, so why would she accept a male this time?" Dongbua Shuang transmitted with a smile. "Furthermore, I was curious when I found out that your father was Monarch Mo Shui. I've long heard that Monarch Mo Shui has 6 daughters, so I'm curious if the 7th has become a son." 7th Meiyu laughed. She was also very happy. Actually, from the bottom of her heart, she would rather have a powerful existence who specialized in teaching and was stricter. A teacher who was too protective would instead have a negative impact on one's cultivation. After all, when others heard that you were a disciple of Monarch Mother Whirlpool, they would immediately keep their distance and not offend you. This would indeed save her a lot of trouble, but at the same time, she would lose a lot of experience. However, from the perspective of a daughter, her father, Monarch Mo Shui, would not be able to hold on for long. He would most likely have to seal his memories and choose to reincarnate. The chances of him awakening after reincarnating would be very low, and her father's enemies would most likely take revenge. Having a teacher who was protective of her was a good thing to her and her sisters. She transmitted a message to her father, and Monarch Mo Shui was overjoyed when he found out. What he wanted the most was for his daughter to become a disciple of a powerful existence who would protect her. However, there were only a few who would protect her, and there were only two in the Bloodshed God Palace who were the most protective. One was Monarch Mother Whirlpool, and the other was Forefather Fierce Tyrant. Forefather Fierce Tyrant was the Mount of Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master, and also Peng Yi's brother. Furthermore, the Fierce Five of the deity world were very united. After all, there were only 5 powerful existences in the deity world, and whoever dared to bully one of them, the other 4 would not let it go. After all, their backing was very strong. That was why they had the qualifications to protect their own. Jiushi! A world deity guard passed the command token to Jiushi under the gaze of 1,900 deity experts. Jiushi could not hide her excitement as she accepted the call. He glanced at Dongbo, Drunk Guest, 7th Meiyu, and a few other deity experts from the Kamsi Prefecture, then began to sense the tokens in a rather pleased manner. After sensing it, Jiushi looked at Drunk Guest and said politely, "Yu Gong is willing to accept me as a disciple." Jiushi greets senior apprentice brother. Yu Gong accepted him as a disciple, which meant that he was an inner disciple. On the other hand, Drunk Guest was a personal disciple. This news had already spread before the Bloodshed God Palace battle. Drunk Guest frowned slightly and responded. He did not have a good impression of Jiushi. "In the future, if senior apprentice brother has any requests, feel free to let me know. Jiushi will definitely do her best to complete them." Jiushi sent a sound transmission to Drunk Guest. Dongbo Shuang watched on in astonishment. Previously, Jiushi had been extremely arrogant and tyrannical, but now, he was acting so flattering in front of Drunk Guest. Although the two of them were using sound transmissions, and Dongbo Shuang had no idea what they were talking about, he could tell that Jiushi was incomparably polite and submissive, while Drunk Guest was treating him normally, without any of the disgust he had shown at the start. "Arrogant and submissive just because you say so?" This Jiushi, his attitude changes really quickly. Dongbo Shuang was somewhat impressed by Jiushi's shamelessness. Dongbo. Yet another world deity guard delivered a command token. Dongbo took the black command token. A moment later, yet another token was delivered. This made many of the deities watching this scene feel envious and jealous. They had begged for a single command token, yet Dongbo Shuang had received a total of 5. One had to know how many powerful existences there were in the Bloodshed God Palace. There were already 5 who had taken the initiative to accept him as a disciple. Dongbo Shuang picked up the final silver-white command token and sensed it. "I, Fierce Tyrant! Dongbo Shuang, I am willing to accept you as my personal disciple. I, Fierce Tyrant, might not be too good at teaching disciples, but I am not bad either. Gu Tsung wants to accept you as a disciple? That Gu Tsung has always been cultivating alone, and is extremely poor. He doesn't have any good treasures to give you. That old man Cave Swan wants to accept you as a disciple? He doesn't have any backing, and instead has enemies. It's because of those enemies that he decided to rely on the Bloodshed God Palace. Monarch Qianju? He's too inflexible, and you will definitely suffer if you accept him as your teacher. Left Palace Head? He's too eccentric, and doesn't have many friends. He doesn't treat his disciples well. It's best if you become my disciple. I, Fierce Tyrant, will absolutely not let anyone bully my disciple. When the time comes, I will give you a precious treasure. TSK. I've refined this treasure for many years, and I feel that you are very suitable for it. Furthermore, I've already told the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master that you can go to his Violet Bamboo Sea to cultivate. The Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master's Violet Bamboo Sea, all the inner disciples under him have to go through a trial before they have the chance to enter. You don't need to go through the trial to enter. This is my face. Rest assured, I, Fierce Tyrant, will definitely treat my disciples with care. Come, become my disciple. You will be the first stage 4 world deity disciple under me, Fierce Tyrant. In the future, you will even become a powerful existence. Dongbu Shuang could not help but be dumbstruck as he sensed the message. He had received a total of 5 command tokens. The other 4 powerful existences were very straightforward. They only said 1 or 2 simple sentences, such as I, Qianju, am willing to accept you as my personal disciple. Everyone was the same. After all, powerful existences had their own pride. They liked this disciple, but that did not mean they would coax him. Some powerful existences would even be very strict when teaching their disciples. When their disciples went out to experience all sorts of life and death situations, they would be too lazy to act. If they died, they could only blame themselves for not being strong enough. The majority of powerful existences were like this. This way, they would be able to train formidable experts. For example, Forefather Fierce Tyrant, the command token he bestowed contained a whole pile of information. He had even viciously belittled the other 4. Monarch Guzong? Because he was too low profile and did not go out to fight for treasures, it was not wrong to say that he was poor. But his teacher was the Blood Blade. Forefather Cave Swan? Indeed, he had joined the Bloodshed God Palace because he had an enemy, but Forefather Cave Swan was still very good at teaching disciples. Monarch Qianju? He was indeed inflexible, but Monarch Qianju was placed in an important position by the Blood Blade. Many matters within the Bloodshed God Palace were handled by Monarch Qianju and the other 2 monarchs. Left Palace Head? He was aloof, cold, and arrogant. He had high requirements for his disciples, but he was also very good at teaching disciples. Each of them had their own merits. Fierce Tyrant fiercely belittled the other 4, then took out many benefits to entice Donghua. No matter what, Forefather Fierce Tyrant is indeed famous for being protective of his disciples. I can feel the love he has for them from this command token. Donghua Shuang thought, his only flaw is that he isn't good at teaching disciples. Just these 5? Donghua Shuang was still waiting. He did not make a decision because he desired the 3 ancestors more. His Majesty God Emperor did not dare to have such extravagant hopes, but it would be great if one of the 3 could accept him as a disciple. Time passed. Gradually, there were no more powerful existences bestowing command tokens. There were a total of 8 deity experts who received command tokens. Donghua Shuang was one of them, and he received 5 command tokens. During the myriad flower feast, Hui Ming and Chihua Laozu were also observing. Those who bestowed command tokens to junior disciple brother are Monarch Guzong, Forefather Cave Swan, Monarch Qianju, Left Palace Head, and Forefather Fierce Tyrant. There are no 3 ancestors. Hui Ming frowned slightly. There seems to be no movement from the 3 ancestors? Chihua Laozu shook his head inwardly. It was not just them. During the myriad flower feast, the other powerful existences were also paying attention to the powerful existences from the Bloodshed God Palace accepting disciples. Bamboo Mountain, you don't plan on accepting disciples? The ruler of the Dark Abyss, who was extremely close to Bloodblade and had a towering figure and bloodthirsty eyes, asked. Being one of the supreme rulers of the Dark Abyss, his status was similar to Bloodblade's. He did not have many good friends in the entire deity world and Dark Abyss, and Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master was one of them. The 2 had a deep friendship. Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master was relatively handsome. His eyes were long and narrow, and his gaze was like a blade. There was a crack faintly glowing in gold between his eyebrows. He chuckled. Big Brother Nile, I've been bitterly cultivating without being able to take that step. How could I have the mood to teach disciples? Seated at the highest position, the crimson-robed Bloodblade had a deep gaze as he looked down at the cold and arrogant male Pang Yi of the 3 ancestors. He was the head of the fierce 5 of the deity world, and his sharpness was something even His Majesty God Emperor could not conceal. Pang Yi's reputation was huge. In the distant past, when powerful existences were still rare in the deity world, Pang Yi was the most famous and terrifying deity world life form. He had killed countless people, and his ruthless name had spread throughout the deity world and Dark Abyss. Now that so many years had passed, Pang Yi was already very restrained. My teacher doesn't plan on accepting disciples, and neither does Bamboo Mountain. Pang Yi, you don't plan on accepting disciples either? Bloodblade looked down with a smile. Amen. My cultivation technique has yet to be perfected, and I don't wish to be distracted. Pang Yi nodded. Bloodblade nodded lightly. Hearing the conversation between God Emperor and one of the three ancestors, Pang Yi, the other powerful existences understood. In the distance, Jihua Laozu and Huiming were slightly disappointed. It seemed the three ancestors were not going to accept disciples this time. However, this was normal. At the level of the three ancestors, it was rare for them to be willing to accept disciples. Come! Bloodblade suddenly spoke. At that moment, a world deity guard hurried over and respectfully awaited orders. Bloodblade flipped his hand, and a blood-colored command token appeared in it. Star. Chapter 479. At the same time, the powerful existences and Stage 4 world deities at the scene noticed the token that appeared in the Bloodshed God Emperor's hand. Even though they were chatting and laughing previously, with their acute senses, they noticed it at the first moment. Bloodblade, are you going to accept a disciple? A graceful and luxurious woman seated on a throne of a similar height to the Bloodshed God Emperor asked with interest. How rare, how rare. It's been a long time since Brother Bloodshed accepted a disciple, right? Even grade 1 true meaning transcendence with extremely high talents. Brother Bloodshed rarely takes the initiative to accept a disciple. This time, he actually bestowed a command token to that disciple. I wonder which brat will be so lucky, the Towering Abyss ruler said. In the entire deity world and Dark Abyss, there weren't many who dared to directly address Bloodblade as Bloodblade. Even the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master and Pang Yi had to respectfully address him as Your Majesty. As for those free and unfettered powerful existences like the famous mysterious North Imperial Empress, they had to respectfully address him as Your Majesty in front of God Emperor. Bloodblade, he was, after all, the publicly acknowledged strongest expert in the deity world. His influence in the Dark Abyss was immense, and 2 of the 3 rulers of the Dark Abyss had come to participate in this myriad flower feast. Go! Bloodblade handed the command token to the World Deity Guard beside him. Yes. The World Deity Guard respectfully took the command token and left. Everyone at the myriad flower feast was curious as to who it was that attracted Bloodblade to accept a disciple. Humph. Bloodblade looked down and chuckled, but did not elaborate. A detailed report appeared in his mind, one of the reports regarding the deities participating in the Bloodshed God Palace battle. Dongwu Shuang, born in the material world of the Xia people. At the age of 8, he and his younger brother depended on each other for survival. His 2 uncles took care of him. The report was extremely detailed, from Dongwu Shuiying's birth to his final participation in the Bloodshed God Palace battle. Even his battle with Xiang Pangyun, his fall into the Black Wind Abyss, and many other details were recorded. This brat is truly blessed to be able to stay together with his wife. Bloodblade thought. Talent and potential were just one aspect, but Dongwu Shuiying's past had touched his heart, which was why he had decided to accept him as a disciple. This was how God Emperor had accepted disciples. Once one became interested, they would accept a disciple. Otherwise, even a grade 1 true meaning blade would not even spare them a glance. Bloodshed God Emperor's gaze was distant, though his thoughts were drifting. A long time ago, when he was not even a transcendent yet, he had not even reached transcendent yet, he transcendent, he deity saint. His cultivation heart was incomparably firm. For the sake of cultivation, he left his true love and embarked on the lonely path of cultivation. He experienced many hardships and suffered many hardships before he was accepted into a sect. When he finally became a transcendent, he went through many trials and wasted 100 years. When he finally left the sect, he returned, but at that time, his wife was already old and frail. Blade, he wife, who not even transcendent, his wife, who to search for treasure. Of course, a long time later, Bloodblade had unimaginable power and resurrected his wife. Even if his wife's cultivation was weak, she could not even become a transcendent by herself. Bloodblade did not hesitate to let his wife become a Stage 1 world deity. Unfortunately, her spirit was not strong enough. She had been a Stage 1 world deity for more than 5 billion years, but her true deity heart still collapsed. Because her realm was too low, she could not even seal her memories to reincarnate. Those who could seal their memories to reincarnate were usually Stage 3 or 4 world deities. When one's true deity heart collapsed, there was no way to resurrect them. Even if one were to resurrect from the river of time, they would still have all their previous memories, and their true deity heart would collapse once more. Of course, during the long years of his wife's life, Bloodblade had accompanied her and experienced everything. I wonder who His Majesty has accepted as a disciple. We'll know once we see. As Bloodblade was recalling his deepest emotions, the other powerful existences and Stage 4 world deities were paying attention to that world deity guard. The world deity guard had already walked to the outermost perimeter of the myriad flower feast, where the 1,900 deities were gathered. Another world deity guard has arrived. He's giving out a command token. I wonder who it's for. We're ranked towards the back, and we've cultivated for so long. I'm afraid our chances are slim. All of the 1,000+ deities were looking forward to it, even though their rationality told them that their chances were slim. Even so, they still hoped for a miracle. The world deity guard walked toward the deities of the Calm Sea Prefecture. Will it be me? Jioshi's eyes brightened as he looked at the incoming world deity guard. He's coming here again? Drunk Guest was also surprised. Dongbu Shuang, 7th Meiyu, and Jioshi. This time, there were a total of 3 people from the Calm Sea Prefecture who had received command tokens. This was a very high ratio. He's going over to Dongbua's side. Dongbua has already received 5 command tokens. Could it be for him again? Who asked him to cultivate for such a short period of time? He's only cultivated for 2,300 years. On top of that, he's very powerful. So what if he's cultivated for a short period of time? He might even be stuck at a bottleneck for tens of thousands of years. Seeing the world deity guard walk in that direction, many of the deities who knew that they had no hope of obtaining a command token lost their composure. Even they could not obtain a command token, but Dongbua of the Calm Sea Prefecture had already received 5. Who? Jiyoshi watched expectantly. Although Yugong accepted me as a disciple, I'm only an inner disciple. If a powerful existence were to accept me as a personal disciple, I would naturally choose a better one. An inner disciple. Drunk Guest might be younger than me, but his strength can't compare to mine. Yet he still managed to become a personal disciple. I've cultivated the extremely rare boundless deity heart, and it's entirely possible for me to become a personal disciple of a powerful existence. Jiyoshi raised his head. The world deity guard walked past him, quickly arriving at Dongbua Shui Ying's side. The world deity guard came to a halt. Dongbo. The world deity guard revealed a smile towards Shuang. It was a smile filled with profound meaning. Congratulations. As he spoke, he took out a blood-colored command token. It really is him. It's Dongbua again. He already has 5 command tokens. What's the point of another one? In the end, he could only become the disciple of a powerful existence. Yet, he gave them so many command tokens, while we don't even have a single one. Sigh, truly. Many of the deities were disappointed. Although they had guessed that the world deity guard was heading in the direction of Dongbua Shuang, the result was still disappointing. If the deity experts were to be described as disappointed, then the Stage 4 world deities and powerful existences of the myriad flower feast were all astonished. Some of them were even discussing this matter. His Majesty actually chose Dongbua? The Calm Sea Prefecture Master watched as the world deity guard passed the command token to Dongbua Shuang. He could not help but sigh in shock. Little disciple brother has become the disciple of God Emperor. Hui Ming smiled. His smile was filled with joy. Not bad, not bad. Chihua Laozu nodded with a smile. At this moment, Dongbua Shuang was relatively calm. He had already received 5 command tokens, and this was just one more. I hope it's the third ancestor. I hope it's the third ancestor. I hope it's the third ancestor. Dongbua Shui Ying's heart was filled with hope as he took the blood-colored command token. Within the Bloodshed God Palace, scarlet or blood tokens were commonly used. He did not notice anything special about this command token. Chapter 480. Dongbua Shuang did not dare to hope that it would be His Majesty Blood Blade. He felt that it would be good enough if he could become the disciple of one of the three ancestors. But even if it was one of them, he had no confidence. Because according to what he knew, it was rare for existences at the level of the three ancestors to accept disciples. They placed more emphasis on their own cultivation. If my true body were to shout out the name of one of the three ancestors and tell him that I'm a grade 1 true meaning transcendent? If I reveal my strength, I might be able to become his disciple. Dongbua Shuang thought. He had only thought of this idea. After all, grade 1 true meaning transcendents were not attractive to His Majesty Blood Blade and the three ancestors. Only ordinary powerful existences would fight to become their disciples. If I take the initiative to shout out that I want to become his disciple, who should I choose? Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master? If Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master doesn't like me as his disciple. Dongbua Shuang felt that taking the initiative was not a good idea. If his teacher did not like him from the bottom of his heart, he would not have taught him seriously. He would rather become the disciple of an ordinary powerful existence who sincerely wanted to teach him, than to become the disciple of one of the three ancestors. After all, ordinary powerful existences were existences who had transcended the river of time and the laws of the world. Their guidance was already very good. If there's no other way, I'll just choose Forefather Fierce Tyrant. Dongbua Shuang thought. Of the five, Forefather Fierce Tyrant was the most sincere. Teaching a disciple might be slightly lacking, but it was still better than burying his head in cultivation alone. Let me see who the powerful existence who bestowed this token is. Dongbua Shuang held on to the blood-colored token and carefully sensed the message within. Are you willing to become an inner disciple of my Blood Blade sect? It was a simple sentence. Dongbua Shuang was stunned. Blood Blade's disciple? Blood Blade's disciple? Dongbua Shuang blinked his eyes. Following that, a huge wave surged in his heart. Blood Blade. He was publicly recognized as the strongest expert in the deity world. Many experts even believed that the three rulers of the Dark Abyss were slightly weaker than His Majesty God Emperor. Of course, this was only a guess and had not been publicly acknowledged. But no matter what, Blood Blade was indisputably one of the existences that stood at the pinnacle of the divine realm, the material realm, and the abyss. In terms of strength alone, he was probably the strongest amongst the countless powerhouses. He had truly reached the point of invincibility. Accepting a disciple no longer held any meaning to him. He did not even care about grade 1 true meaning transcendence. Become his inner disciple? Dongbua Shuang did not mind at all. This was a very normal thing to do. No matter how talented one was, they would still be considered as an inner court disciple by the God Emperor. They would have to go through the God Emperor's teachings and observation before the God Emperor would decide whether or not to accept them as his direct disciple. To be able to become God Emperor's direct disciple, all of them had to be recognized by God Emperor in terms of talent, cultivation, temperament, and so on. I can become the disciple of God Emperor? Dongbua Shuang could feel his entire body heating up. World of the Xia people, within Crimson Rock Mountain. Senior Goodbye, Senior He Fei Yun, the treasure spirit Crimson Rock, the green-haired Shi Wei, Jing Qiu, and the white-robed Dongbua Shuang were all seated. Everyone was paying close attention to the news regarding the Bloodshed God Palace battle, which was why they had asked Dongbua Shui Ying's true body to come to Crimson Rock Mountain so that he could inform them at any time. Junior brother Dongbua, what's wrong? The thick-robed Senior Goodbye asked with a smile. Why are you standing there in a daze? Could it be that some powerful existence has accepted you as a disciple? Could it be one of the three ancestors? The scarlet-cloaked He Fei Yun asked. Shi Wei, Crimson Rock, and Jing Qiu all looked at Dongwu Shuiying. The white-robed Dongwu Shuiying looked at the others, then picked up the wine flask beside him and gulped it down. This scene left Senior Goodbye and the others shocked and puzzled. Dongwu Shuiying put down the wine flask, his face somewhat flushed, and said, "Some powerful existence has indeed accepted me as a disciple. However, it wasn't one of the three ancestors, but His Majesty." His Majesty? His Majesty, God Emperor? Everyone was stunned. Even the experienced and knowledgeable treasure spirit Crimson Rock was dumbfounded. God Emperor? Jing Qiu, who had been listening from the side with a smile, couldn't help but click her tongue. She was very confident in her husband, but the Blood Blade had accepted him as a disciple. "That's right, right? You aren't lying to us, are you?" Crimson Rock asked. "It's His Majesty, God Emperor. Do you think I would speak carelessly about such a matter?" Dongwu Shuiying shook his head. I. Crimson Rock stood up. Quick, quick, quick! Good wine, bring out the best wine you have," Senior Goodbye said hurriedly. Senior He Fei Yun, who had been wearing a scarlet cloak this whole time, also stared with wide eyes. "His Majesty, God Emperor, has accepted a disciple? Ha ha ha, God Emperor!" Crimson Rock shook his head. "He is the most powerful existence in the deity world, publicly acknowledged as the strongest existence. Whether it's a secret absolute art, a top-notch special secret technique, or a terrifying treasure, in short, His Majesty, God Emperor, has an unfathomable foundation. Look at the White Sand City Lord you know. Even though he was chased out of the city, his self-created secret technique is nearly invincible among Stage 3 world deities. Why was he able to create it? If not for His Majesty, God Emperor, teaching him a secret technique or two, do you think he would have such accomplishments? His Majesty, God Emperor's disciples, like Monarch Gu Zan, have always been incomparably low-key, spending most of their time cultivating in their lair, rarely leaving. Why is he cultivating in seclusion? According to Old Master, he is cultivating some terrifying absolute art. Where did this absolute art come from? Naturally, it was bestowed by His Majesty. Monarch Gu Zan rarely takes action, but many powerful existences believe that Monarch Gu Zhang's strength is close to that of the three ancestors. Dongwu, you never had a master in the past. Crimson Rock looked at Dongwu Shuiying. Old Master was your disciple, but Old Master died long ago, so I didn't receive any guidance. This time, you've truly found yourself a good master, one who stands at the peak of the deity world and abyss. There are only a few who can stand on equal footing with him. The white-robed Dongwu Shuiying nodded with a smile. He was also very happy. He had never had a master to guide him, and the only reason he could cultivate to his current level was because he had immersed himself in cultivation. Now, he would finally have a powerful master. Outside the myriad flower feast, over 1,000 deities were still waiting in anticipation, hoping that they would be bestowed a token. At this time, a 6-armed world deity guard walked out. Those who have received a token, choose one and refine it. The 6-armed world deity guard said in a clear voice. Whoever you refine will become your master. There were a total of 8 deities who had received a token. 5 of them only had a single token. Everyone immediately took out a token and began refining it. Dongwu Shuiying also did not hesitate to take out a blood-colored token. He even confirmed that it contained information about His Majesty, God Emperor, before refining it as well. Those ranked in the top 100, follow me in. The 8-armed world deity guard ordered once more. Dongwu Shuiying, drunk guest, Jiu Shi, and the rest immediately stood up. The other deities watched on enviously. They understood that these top 100 would be able to become the disciples of a powerful existence. Furthermore, they would be able to enjoy a myriad flower true fruit. One figure after another entered. 7th Meiyu was watching everything. Although she had been bestowed a token, she was not in the top 100 and could not enjoy a myriad flower true fruit. 7th Meiyu. A world deity guard walked over with a smile on his face. Monarch Mother Whirlpool has instructed me to bring you in. 7th Meiyu was startled and hurriedly stood up. Even as she walked, her appearance and clothes began to change. Although it was only a slight change, she had already transformed into a cold beauty. 7th Mayu was also worried. After all, she was going to meet her master, Monarch Mother Whirlpool. She only accepted female disciples, so she most likely did not like males. If she continued to disguise herself as a male, she might incur the displeasure of Monarch Mother Whirlpool. She's a woman? 7th Mayu is a woman? Some of the deities of the Calm Sea Prefecture were shocked, and the other deities who were watching this scene were equally shocked. Under the arrangements of the World Deity Guards, Dongbu Shuang and the rest entered in an orderly manner. The 5 of you are disciples of Forefather Long Brows. The 4 of you are disciples of Forefather Fierce Tyrant. The World Deity Guards began to make arrangements. A portion of those ranked in the top 100 were already disciples of powerful existences. Some were honorary disciples, while others were inner disciples. But now, they would at least be promoted to inner disciples. As for those who were not under the tutelage of powerful existences, after a simple discussion between the Bloodshed God Emperor and the subordinates of the powerful existences, they were divided up. Other than His Majesty and the 3 ancestors, the other powerful existences had accepted 3 to 5 disciples. At the Myriad Flower Feast, a group of young deities began to enter. To stage 4 world deities and powerful existences, deities were indeed very young. Batch after batch entered. Disciple greets Master. 5 young men and women entered the Myriad Flower Feast's main hall. They had long since received guidance, so they immediately went in front of a long-browed man and respectfully kowtowed. Rise. The long-browed man nodded. It was a custom of the Myriad Flower Feast for the first 100 to take on a master. Soon, another 5 people walked in. They were drunk guests, Jiu Shi, and 3 others. They went in front of a golden-haired, golden-browed man and respectfully kowtowed. Disciple greets Master. Amen. Yugong nodded, but did not say another word. After kowtowing, they hurriedly went to their seats. Batch after batch entered, and batch after batch started kowtowing. Dongbu still hasn't come in. Jiushi sat in his seat, looking at the surrounding stage 4 world deities and powerful existences, as well as the towering figure in front of him. Jiushi could not help but feel his blood boil. That was His Majesty God Emperor. Next to him was probably the ruler of the abyss. They entered in batches to take on a master. Every batch had the same master. Finally, it was Dongbu Shuiying's turn. Dongbu Shuiying was the last, and he was the only one without any companions. Dongbu Shuiying strode in. At this moment 7th Mayu, who was sitting behind Forefather Mother Whirlpool like a servant, looked over. Jiushi looked over as well. The other 99 deities in the top 100 all looked at Dongbu Shuiying. The stage 4 world deities and even the powerful existences all looked at Dongbu Shuiying, who was the last to enter. Some of them even shook their heads slightly, including Forefather Fierce Tyrant. Clearly, he was regretful that he did not receive such a disciple. Dongbu Shuiying, who was the last to enter, walked to the front of the hall, directly facing the crimson-robed figure sitting at the highest position, who seemed to be emanating a boundless aura of destruction. He immediately knelt down and said, "Disciple greets Master!" Chapter 481. This kowtow was the result of karma. The grace of imparting the Tao was as great as the heavens themselves. Countless deity experts yearned to become a disciple of a powerful existence, even dreaming of becoming a disciple of God Emperor. At the level of God Emperor, it was normal not to teach others, but to teach them with all his heart was a form of kindness. The only time Dongbu Shuiying had truly kowtowed to become a disciple was Sacred Master Crimson Dust, who had taught him many world deity grade secret techniques and bestowed him with many treasures. He had even inherited the entire Crimson Rock Mountain. Although Sacred Master Crimson Dust had died, the things he had given Dongbu Shuiying were incomparably precious. If not for his training in Crimson Rock Mountain, Dongbu Shuiying would not have achieved what he had today. The other was to become a disciple of God Emperor. Only His Majesty God Emperor would truly guide him. Kowtow, who is he kowtowing to? Jiushi and the other deity experts who had already taken their seats were all shocked. Even 7th Meiyu, who was usually calm, was watching from behind Monarch Mother Whirlpool in shock. Dongbua Shui Ying's figure was kowtowing to the person with the highest status in the entire myriad flower feast. You may leave, His Majesty God Emperor said calmly. Dongbua Shuang immediately stood up and respectfully retreated back to his seat. The other deity experts in the top 100 all looked at Dongbua Shuang with envy and disbelief. Becoming a disciple of God Emperor? He became a disciple of God Emperor? Dongbua Shui Ying's seat was the closest to the front, close to that of stage 4 world deities. Of course, 7th Meiyu did not count, as she did not even have a proper seat. She was merely a follower behind Monarch Mother Whirlpool. The myriad flower feast continued. The deity experts all ate and drank in a low-profile manner. They did not dare to talk loudly like those powerful existences, and even when they spoke, they kept their voices low. They were so cautious that they only communicated with each other through voice transmissions. Dongbua. The Kamsi Prefecture master smiled at Dongbua Shuang. I never thought that someone from my Kamsi Prefecture would be able to become His Majesty's disciple. Ha! Dongbua Shuang, right? Your luck isn't bad. His Majesty hasn't accepted a disciple in a long time. Now that he has accepted you as his disciple, you must cultivate properly and quickly grasp a grade 1 deity heart to become a world deity. Don't disappoint His Majesty. His potential is not bad. The other stage 4 world deities in the surroundings were also talking. Slightly further away, the bald white-robed youth, Huiming, was watching everything with a smile, not saying a word. Dongbua Shuang lowered his stance and said, It is my luck that Master has taken a liking to me. So what if he became His Majesty's disciple? Over the long years, His Majesty had quite a few disciples under him. For example, the White Sand City Lord, who had been chased out of the sect, was only a stage 3 world deity. Just his identity, as a disciple of God Emperor, was enough for him to treat a stage 4 world deity with respect. If he were to act arrogantly and not even care about stage 4 world deities, it would truly be a joke. The Bloodshed God Palace battle has ended. Myriad flower true fruit. Bloodblade's voice suddenly rang out, spreading throughout the entire myriad flower feast. Myriad flower true fruit? The eyes of Dongbua Shuang and the other deities lit up. Brother Bloodblade, you eat the myriad flower true fruit every time. Can't you exchange it for something fresh? Why don't you take out your gold tribulation fruit and let us have a taste? Right. Brother Bloodblade, we're all sick of eating the myriad flower true fruit. As the deities at the very top spoke, Bloodblade did the same, though his voice was somewhat indistinct and hard to hear. Very soon, one after another, female attendants brought out exquisite plates, each of which was filled with a huge fruit the size of a human's head. The fruit was bright red and glistening, and there was even some dew on its surface, which gave off a fragrant aroma. There were even a few leaves on the roots of the fruit. Although they had yet to eat it, Dongbua Shuang and the others could already smell its fragrance. It was a kind of fragrance that seemed ordinary at first, but it quickly stirred up their bodies. Even their souls were filled with a desire to eat the fruit. Meiyu? In the distance, Monarch Mother Whirlpool handed the plate of fruit to 7th Meiyu. Master. 7th Meiyu didn't dare to accept it for a moment. I've eaten it many times. It's no longer useful to me. Monarch Mother Whirlpool seemed like a kind and gentle woman, but when it came to protecting someone, she was extremely overbearing. Yes. 7th Meiyu couldn't refuse, so she obediently accepted it. Her heart was filled with gratitude. By this time, Dongbua Shuang had already started eating. He wasn't the only one, the other deities had also started eating. Picking up a knife to the side, they casually cut off some of the fruit's flesh and began tasting it. So fragrant, so sweet. As Dongbua Shuang ate, he felt a sense of satisfaction that came from the depths of his heart, and even his soul. This wasn't an illusion. After the flesh of the fruit entered his body, It was rapidly absorbed by his soul, causing his soul to feel a sense of emptiness. The nourishment also became more comfortable, and his soul gradually began to transform. This myriad flower true fruit was originally something that God Emperor had brought out to treat other powerful existences. It was only slightly useful to powerful existences, let alone deities. The nourishment of the myriad flower true fruit was silent. In fact, many of the energy contained within the fruit couldn't be absorbed by the soul at the moment, and was temporarily stored within the body. As time passed, the soul would gradually absorb it. Awesome! He ate without stopping, finishing the myriad flower true fruit in a single breath. Dongbu Shuang could faintly sense the energy of the fruit hidden within his body. It will gradually nourish the soul. With the strength of my avatar's soul, it will probably take me 10,000 years to absorb it. The myriad flower true fruit was a feast, and every guest of the myriad flower feast would be able to enjoy other delicacies and wine. To the powerful existences, it might just be a feast for their stomachs, but to the deities, it was a feast to their heart's content. Almost all of them were eating, occasionally conversing in a low voice or through voice transmissions. After all, their statuses were the lowest in the entire myriad flower feast. 111. As Dongbu Shuang ate, he was also watching. The entire myriad flower feast was filled with laughter, and the powerful existences were chatting in groups of 2s and 3s, all of them in high spirits. It was rare for powerful existences to attend such a large-scale gathering. For them to participate in it, the myriad flower true fruit was probably secondary. What made them happier was being able to chat with many of their old friends. Almost all the powerful existences are chatting with each other, and very few are talking with stage 4 world deities. Dongbu Shuang had also discovered this disparity in status. If one were to say that stage 4 world deities were close in strength to powerful existences, they would still be able to chat with powerful existences. Then, deities like Dongbu Shuang and the others were not qualified to participate in such a gathering. Stage 3 world deities, Stage 2 world deities, and so on, were not qualified to attend. The only reason Dongbu Shuang and the others could attend was because of the Bloodshed God Palace battle. It could even be considered a gift from His Majesty, the God Emperor. Unknowingly, there are different levels, Dongbu Shuang thought to himself. The powerful existences are a group, and stage 4 world deities are close to them. But below that, the powerful existences do not place them in their eyes at all. Although I have become a disciple of God Emperor, and my status is considered very high among the countless deities, but compared to the true ruling class of the entire deity world, I am still just a small character. Dongbu Shuang understood this point, and at the same time, a fighting spirit rose in his heart. He had only come from the mortal world of the material plane, and he had always been cultivating blindly. But now, he had His Majesty, the God Emperor, to guide him. Dongbu Shuang was still filled with heroic spirit. Although he had never heard of God Emperor being a disciple of his, he was said to be very strict. But regarding this, Dongbu Shuang was very satisfied. Being strict was a good thing. He had always been lacking opportunities and a good teacher. This time, he had to grab hold of this opportunity. During the myriad flower feast, the deity experts were very obedient and low-key. The powerful existences ate and drank for a long time, and even settled many things amidst their laughter. Finally, after they had enjoyed themselves to their heart's content, Bloodblade announced that the myriad flower feast had officially come to an end.